So I'll call this meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:02, and we got Dave's flag, so we'll use that again. So you can join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
And to the republic
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks. First on the agenda is public input, and I'm not seeing anybody that's public, so we don't have that. Correspondence, all correspondence that I know of is part of the different meeting reports, so I don't think we have any additional correspondence that I know of, and Kathy didn't let me know of anything, so I think we're good with that. So we have approval of meeting minutes. We have two to do because we didn't have the meetings or the minutes from our special meeting last time. So I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the special meeting of June 18th, 2020.
I'll second it.
That was Gil?
Yep.
Okay, second by Gil. It's a pretty short bunch of minutes, so I don't think we need much time to review. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's everybody opposed. And I think somebody wasn't there. Bob wasn't there.
Oh, there's Bob.
So Bob would have to abstain.
Oh, okay, abstain. Sorry.
I don't think there was anybody else who wasn't at that meeting. Either we did a few of us in person, a few by Zoom. And then the the minutes from our next meeting, our last regular meeting, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our regular meeting of June 23rd, 2020.
I'll second it. Bill.
Couple different seconds, Gil and whoever else jumped in. Those were a little bit longer, but they were sent out ahead of time by Kathy, so I don't know if anybody has any input or corrections to make. Everybody's good? Okay. So let's vote on those. All in favor? You can
Aye.
Say aye or raise your hand. I got everybody. Opposed? Nobody opposes, and I think it's Bob and John Perna, or did John Perna jump in late for that meeting? I know he wasn't there in the last meeting. Did you miss the whole meeting or did you jump in
Yeah, I
late?
missed the whole one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then those two have to abstain. So that's that. Meeting minutes done. We voted, yes. Okay, now we got our abstentions. So on to old business. We will start, I know last time we started the police station because we had a report, but we'll keep with our, the way the agenda is set up right now, old business, our school projects, Rockwell and Johnson School. So Geraldine did send out all the reports and such ahead of time, so everybody should have had time to review those. And I think we have Ken. Yeah, Ken's here. So Ken, if you could give us an update. We did get both the reports, so I don't think you need to read through them line by line, but if you could hit some high points for us, and then obviously if people have questions, they will jump in. So we've got Johnson up on the screen now, so we'll do Johnson first.
Okay. So from the last meeting, this is where we were at as far as percentage complete. I did 100% a few of the items. The most important one was the, at the bottom, the rooftop units have all been set on the roof. So we're good there. And basically for each area that we have to turn over, we're working full force, installing the mechanical rough-ins, studs, drywall. And if you were go to the next page, I can go over some of the work in progress. So basically, we got the front of the school being worked on to get the new bus loop parking lot established. We've got the loading dock work that's being worked on in the gym. The second floor is the furthest along, where we're now installing ceilings better than 50%, and the flooring is close to 50%, and the tile in the bathrooms has started on the gang bathrooms. So it's progressing good on the second floor. The art rooms are taking shape with the ceilings, and for the most part, the second floor is going well. For the first floor, phase 2B, we're doing a lot of rough-in. We've done a lot of stud work, and the drywall is it's not on. It was done in the last 2 or 3 days for the main office and the nurse area and guidance. All those areas are being drywall, and the ducts, FCUs, and electrical rough-in is all being done, and it's coming along pretty quickly. We're looking like possibly Friday for that area. And then when you go back to all the first grade classrooms, mechanical rough-in has started in those areas. And the bathrooms for the gang toilets have been roughed, and we're waiting for tests to pass so we can sheetrock those and get those ready. And so that's probably it. The windows there's only a few left to do for windows. And then we're still working in the music area, and ensemble room is coming along. The kitchen, that's one of the areas that has to be turned over. We're looking at starting the epoxy flooring on Monday. So we're in there doing the rough-in right now. We've done the wall ceramic tile. So we're scheduled for kitchen equipment the week of the 27th. So the kitchen at Johnson's coming along. I think that's pretty much the highlights for Johnson.
Wait, question, please.
Sure.
Okay, your first item is the rooftop unit set. Isn't Johnson still missing one?
Not a rooftop unit, maybe an exhaust fan.
Two exhaust fans. They're not missed, they're on site, they just have to be set up there.
Okay, but what I'm saying is it shouldn't be read 100% though.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Oh yeah, it's 99% because the exhaust fans are nothing really that has to be craned up. So I was just considering the large units, Bob.
All right, just trying to be clear on it. That's all.
Nancy, can I ask a question also?
Yeah, sure.
So on the first page at the bottom with a cafeteria frame, I think it was called the window frame. I can't see it right now, Carolyn. So it said curtain wall. Frame's not ready. I thought they were on site. I thought they've been on site.
They are, they're installing them now.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't ready, so they had to do a few things to get them ready, and they're now going in.
Okay.
Yeah, this report was given to us on Friday. So anything that's been done between now and Friday, or between, a couple of days, might not be updated.
Yeah, the frames have been there for a while, right, Jim?
Yeah, they had to, because of the location of the steel, they had to modify the back of the frame, so that's probably what
Yeah.
Kim was speaking to, but they've started the installation since. then.
Okay.
So are there any things, either Ken or Jim, that we need to be aware of that are kind of problematic or that are
It's
going to
that,
need
it's
some?
that admin area and the first floor of Johnson are that's a lot of work in there. People have been working overtime in there. There's 40 fan coil units just in the admin area alone. So there's a lot of work in there, and that's what we're pushing through right now. You know, the other areas are on track. The kitchen, that second floor is on track. It's the admin area where there's a lot of pressure to continue to try to push that thing through.
And is that whole vestibule situation or was that?
The vestibule plays into it right now. You know, I think we have the information we need to send to the steel fabricator. We're trying to get the foundation poured so at least we can clean up the front. But that, you know, the vestibule is an issue there.
And I think I saw maybe in Geraldine's report where there's a possibility it might not be ready for school open.
I think we'd be lucky to have that vestibule ready for school opening.
Comment, please. Hey, Ken, as you know, I was up there today for a while with the solar people. I noticed on Johnson, over where the old main entrance used to be, there's heavy ponding. And it hasn't rained in a couple of days. So I'm just wondering, is there something that needs to be looked at there?
I'm sorry, Bob, do you mean at the where the main entrance is? That little overhang area?
Yeah, up top on the roof, the new roof, there's a large pond that's there right now, and it seems like the drain's a little bit higher than the pond. So that really should be looked at.
Okay, yeah, we'll check that out.
Okay, I saw it today when I was with the solar guys.
Okay.
So we haven't had rain in, when did it last rain? A couple days ago, yesterday? Did it rain yesterday?
It rained
Saturday night.
It was over the weekend.
Yeah, so.
It was pretty heavy rain too.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
there's,
that's the reason why I brought it up, because it's been a few days and it still hasn't dissipated.
yeah, okay. Good, Bob, thanks.
We'll take a look at it, Bob.
Any other questions on Johnson or anything that Jim or Ken need to bring up for us? Yeah. How are we looking in general for, I mean, you set some goals as far as having certain areas done for the opening of school, and then obviously other areas that will need to continue to be worked on. So just wondering how that looks as far as your
So
basic schedule.
whatever available resources we have to get people through the admin and the first floor, that's where we're pushing now. If there's any surplus labor, that goes into those other areas. So as we finish with a trade, they'll move into those other locations to continue to push the rest of the job. But everyone's priority needs to stay on that first floor of Johnson.
Mhm.
Jim, it's Christine again. Is there a door from the cafeteria out to the sidewalk?
No, cafeteria, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So theoretically, I'm just thinking of COVID and reopening. And because if the front vestibule is not done, we can work around that, but we would want multiple entrances to go in to the building, but then the cafeteria won't be done, correct?
Right.
Okay. So we'll just have to think about that.
Okay.
Christine, the new entrance or the new section has two doors. One at the far end, which is the stairwell, and then one right in the middle. So that's two entrances right there you could
Oh,
use.
that's true. And then you could access the old main entrance, right? It just won't be complete, right?
I don't think you're gonna be able to
No.
get in there
Even
based
access,
on,
all right.
you know,
And then,
what we're
and then
seeing.
I know on the backside, there's also another entrance too. So
Yes.
what about the entrance by the health room? Isn't there an entrance?
That's a possibility.
Yeah, isn't there an
Yeah,
entrance down
what
there
we
too?
were, what we were trying to do, and I know Ted had some preliminary conversations with Chris, so we'll have something for him on Tuesday, was thinking about, segregating the areas where work will still be ongoing. And that corridor door right at the vestibule there that leads down to the cafeteria and kitchen was a nice spot to close things off. If we're gonna enter in through that health door, I guess we'd have to look at that.
I don't think we need to go there yet. Is the where's the guidance suite? Is it by the admin suite?
Yes,
Okay, so then that's not an issue. And the nurse's office is down there too.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, there's a door into the building there as well.
you're right, there is. So that's another entrance. Okay,
Yes.
We just need to keep Tom Galliford in mind too, because whatever entrances we have available, we're going to have to shift around some exiting if needed,
Okay.
fire exiting.
Okay, so then if we're on track pretty much, does that mean that the whole, Johnson's getting a whole grade coming in, right?
Going to need every second of the 28th, but yes, that's where we're at.
yes,
So that whole switch over is gonna have to happen.
it has. It definitely has to.
Okay. Move the portables over there. No, don't do that. Okay, anything else on Johnson that anybody has questions on or that you need to make us aware of? So on to Rockwell.
Okay, for Rockwell, first page is work from the last report and what we were reporting as percentages complete. And all I did was, if something was completed, I bumped it up to 100%. So this is everything as of Friday. And if we go to the work in progress,
Okay, I just got a quick question. You said up above on the page before, above the ceiling cleaning was 100% done? Is that
Yes.
for all the spaces or first floor only?
so the second floor, we had some of the roof debris that had PCBs. So we had to do that cleaning, special cleaning of
Okay.
the ceilings. And we did that with Enviromed.
Thank you.
So for the phase one, we've got the site work, front walks going in. We've got the portables being prepared to be removed. They're being dismantled and getting ready to be taken off site. The main office, we have the, excuse me, the wood slat ceiling. We got the sub ceiling in place and we're looking at heat panels, and they're currently working on the PCB slab removal in that workroom. For the first floor classrooms, we're in the process of, we start from the kindergarten wing, doing flooring. So the ground floor slab on grade all has to have moisture mitigation. It was all due to the high moisture content in the slabs. It's included in the contractor's contract, but it takes a little extra time. It's a good 3-day process, and then he levels the floors and puts his flooring in. So that's in progress right now. As you move up from the kindergarten, they're working on the mechanical rough end for the first grade classrooms there and the gang bathrooms. And then the nurse area is still in the rough end stage, but it's probably, you know, almost up to 95% right now. We're working on a change order in there today. The stiffener's on the beam, and then there's some plates still going up to hold some of the existing CMU that was not supported so good on the steel beam there. So that's in progress. But it's all framed in and ready for sheetrock. The music special ed is, the metal studs have been completed and we're getting ready for sheetrock over there. The roofing, we have wood blocking to go. Kitchen is an important one. That one has to get done for the 28th. That's a little, we're doing the HVAC rough-in right now and a sprinkler rough-in. And as soon as we do the Johnson floor, we'll bring that contractor over and do the Rockwell flooring and have the kitchen equipment follow in a week. Right now, the cafeteria, there's a lot of rough-in that's going on above for the HVAC, and the curtain wall glazing is taking place. We're waiting on some glazing. That's why that hasn't moved that much. And then the gym PCB abatement, I'm pretty sure we're done with that for the gym area. So we got that area done, and we're in the receiving area, which isn't on here, but that's where we are right now with the they got the slab removed and they're getting ready to take down containments there, and then we'll have to place more slab. For work that is going to be starting, we'll be looking at, we're going to place the load and dock slabs this week and then look at putting the steel up. We've got the VCT flooring that will be starting tomorrow. Millwork for the following week, and epoxy flooring in the kitchen is probably going to be changed to the 27th due to availability. So that's Rockwell.
I got a question.
Yes.
All right, back to the portables. When we were starting to bring those in, we had to have special police escort through town. Do you have some type of schedule when these pieces are going to start moving? Because if you do, we're going to have to coordinate that with the PD.
Yeah, I will. I'll get that coordinated. I'll send them an email and make sure that we do that.
Okay.
And
And
were they
that's-
done, because they had to be done, didn't they have to be done at like early in the morning, or to try to make sure they didn't cause any, I mean, they had police escort, but I think, didn't they also have to be done either in the middle of the night or?
Right.
You know, I think they did a lot of them during the day. They just blocked traffic for us and let them go. They were excellent.
Yeah, they had a couple of cars and they were running bird dog, blocking off intersections and things like that. But the route that they were taking was up Judd Avenue, which is the worst hill to be taking those types of things. So we just need to coordinate that with the PD.
Will do.
Nancy, I missed it. When are they taking them?
Ken, when are you going to be taking?
Probably,
them?
I wouldn't, I don't have the exact date, but I do believe they're going to be ready to go sometime next week. I'll firm that up. I'll probably know more by Thursday's meeting.
So when they were coming in, some of them came in and were kind of staged in the parking lot at the old police station / field office. Is that kind of two-stage move going to need to happen again, or can they just be picked up and off they
Yeah,
go?
to answer your question, yes, they are gonna have to come back down here, and then they transport it. I think they only have a few horses that can take that size unit.
Right.
So it takes them a little while to get them out of here.
Okay,
Hey, Nancy, I have a question.
sure.
At Rockwell School, looking at the front of the school, the entrance closest to the portables now, I imagine the sidewalk's going up to that door, but where is the cutout into the building? Is that going to be a full cement slab or just the width of the door? And the reason why I'm asking, because if it's going to be the width of the door, they're going to end up putting blacktop around each side of it, and it's going to look like hell.
Yeah, we'll take a
And
look
grass won't grow there.
right now and let you know. Like I said, they just formed, but
I
they didn't.
believe the old one had just blacktop. They had the cement sidewalk and blacktop on both sides of it. You know, let's do it right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yep, yeah.
I agree. I concur.
So what the drawing shows is essentially a sidewalk out of the building, so it doesn't go wall to wall.
So there will be some space that you may want to fill in.
Yeah, I think we should look into getting that done, just at least in that cutout section, so it's, you know, symmetrical and it's a little small area of refuse,
They
really.
were prepping that today. I would imagine in the next day, they're going to look to pour. So
Yeah, if we want to increase the concrete, it's now would be a good time to do it.
Well, yeah, I don't think we should move on that right away.
Can we get a price on that?
Is it something that's not completed or complete or included in drawings? Is it?
what exactly do you want to do there? What do you? I missed that. I was looking at the drawing. I missed what you were saying.
So John,
Yes.
could you explain to Jim what
Okay.
you were looking at and what you were seeing and what you think needs
Okay.
to be done?
Okay, at the front door at Rockwell School, that's closest to the portables. It's like a recessed in area, probably, I'm gonna guess, I don't know, 6 feet wide, maybe by 4 or 5 feet deep. And I think before you had a straight sidewalk coming off the door, then the width of the sidewalk, and then we had blacktop in that cut-in area. You know, it looked like hell. So my feeling is we should just fill that whole area in with concrete to go to the normal size sidewalk.
So John, if you're looking at the building, the area to the left of the doors, or the area to the right?
It's the area, be to the right side of Rockwell, looking at Rockwell.
Jim,
No, I
it's
got that.
it's Jim, it's the area with the disco ball there.
Yeah, I
by the
got
kindergarten
the door. I got the door, but the way the plans are right now, you have space on, it's a 4-foot wide sidewalk coming out of the building. So you have space on both sides. Are you looking to fill both sides?
Or
I just think blacktop looks like hell. And you put
We
dirt in there, it's just gonna be mud.
yeah, but could we, like, I mean, I'm just thinking if it's a big deal, we could, I agree with with you theoretically, but we could also put nice planters, right, Bob? On the side and give the kids a project.
You're not gonna get much sun there, though.
That's true. Well, there's a lot of
We
shade
could.
plants.
We could,
Are there,
we could.
are there double doors coming out of that area, or is it a single door?
It's a double door.
Double.
It's a double door.
But it's pretty deep.
And it looks like,
Yeah, it's probably at least 6 feet deep, 8 feet deep.
You have coming out that door. mean, is,
So so it needs to be looked at a little bit more as far as how it's going to look when it's finished. Is that, John Menti, is that what you're,
Yeah, I think, it's, again, putting blacktop looks like crap. And if you can't put grass in there because it won't grow, because it's basically facing north in shade, so nothing will grow there. It's just, it'd be easier to clean, sweeping off,
is there any concrete poured there now?
6-foot sidewalk?
He's got it formed. It's possible the next day or two. Yeah, I don't think he could get concrete tomorrow, so I think he's shooting for Thursday.
So John Menti, what's your suggestion?
My suggestion is, obviously, we don't know the cost, but I can't imagine it's can't be that extravagant that we should just give them the authorization to infill that area with concrete. So the whole thing looks like a sidewalk.
These concrete trucks always end up dumping a few yards anyway at the end.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna pay for it, don't worry.
Would crushed stone be an option as well?
Trip hazard.
No, not for snow blowing, no.
No. I agree. I agree with
That's not
John.
the sidewalk. That would not be snow blown in that area though, right?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to clear it out anyways because of, it's gonna swirl around there. You're gonna,
Got it. Okay.
So,
but I agree. I think it's
so, so
concrete.
John,
John, make a motion and make it wider. Move on.
Okay.
We can't attach a dollar amount to it, but before I make a motion, I just want to suggest that, we infill that, I guess we call it a vestibule area that's outside, from wall to wall, the length of it, in that area. I just, what's, other people's opinion. I just think it would look much better. It's the right thing to do. And I think later on, we're going to regret not doing it.
Could
It's
anyone-
also the fire exit for the second floor. So you're dumping a lot of people down through that route anyway to begin with. So
That's right.
an extra sidewalk or a little wider sidewalk would be beneficial.
And
And what are we
it
talking
also
about?
provides a little area of refuge for weather too.
Yeah, agreed.
And you're not talking about much extra concrete. You're not talking about much in the forming or anything like that, right? It's pretty
No,
cut.
the
and
walls
dry.
are the form.
Yeah, so what, an extra $1,000 maybe?
So Ken, is it,
It'll be more than that. It'll probably be neighborhood of 6,000.
would they have to redo their forms?
Yeah, they would, some of it, yes.
And you're saying concrete's gonna show up in a couple days, so they'd have to get on that right away.
Yeah, I mean, if we told them tomorrow, they could do it.
Okay. So we're gonna do it, right? Like Bob knows Bob Germanaro, you know what area they're talking about, and
Exactly, yeah.
yeah. So
you're not out there tomorrow, are you, Bob?
I can be if you want.
Yeah, if you don't mind. This way, there's no miscommunications.
I would
Sure,
love.
not a problem.
Dr. Carr, what was your thought on this too?
so
Sorry, I was muted. I think it's great.
Okay.
yeah,
What
I
time-
think
You guys want to meet out there tomorrow before we make a decision tonight, or do you want to go with it? Because I'll gladly meet you.
well, and I think we can go ahead with it. I don't think it's
Okay.
gonna.
It's not going to break the bank. Let's put it that way.
No,
No.
it'll have to be an after the fact kind of change order sort of thing.
Okay, I'm down.
Okay,
I'm good.
all right. So you guys are gonna look at it in the morning. Whoever said they would go, Bob, and whoever else
Yeah,
said they were
okay.
gonna go. Okay. You're gonna look at that, look at it with them and just see what needs to be done to make sure that the forms are in place whenever the concrete shows up, so they can go ahead and do it. A couple things on Rockwell. I saw Ken earlier and I was asking him about schedule, which we kind of went through, and it looks too like Rockwell's pretty well kind of in sync with getting where we need to be at the end of August for moving in. Is that
What we're dealing with now is trying to come the time from the slab. So we've been working overtime in there as well with the mechanical trades, the sheetrock and framing trades to try to pick up some of that time that we lost with the slabs. There's less work to do in Rockwell than there is at Johnson, so I don't think it's as near a thing as Johnson's first floor, but we're gonna push that again, and it's basically down to the first grade classrooms and the main entrance area, that vestibule area.
And is it in Rockwell that the boiler room floor was an issue with the PCB
is,
paint
yes.
and all? Yeah. So how's that getting remedied?
Well, I know Geraldine's got some information on that as well. From what it sounds like, any avenue to just cover it isn't an option. So this becomes a bigger issue than a simply replace the slab because you've got equipment in there. And the scope of what, and again, I'll let Geraldine speak to it, but the scope of what it sounds like they're looking to have happen there is the removal of the equipment and the removal of the entire concrete slab in there. That is not something that would happen before this September. And frankly, in speaking with Tony Jr., he's, if that were done under another contract, that's no problem for us.
So
Can I comment? Can I make a comment?
go ahead, Bob.
All right, I understand that possibly you're gonna break it up and maybe do a little next year. But the fact is that all those trades are there on site. And none of that equipment is online right now. It's there. So taking it apart now makes more sense. Because number one, we haven't started it all up, so we're not voiding any warranty because they haven't already started it. It hasn't been commissioned yet. So I don't know, to me, it makes sense to dismantle half of the room, do that area, move that equipment over, and then do the other half. This way here, all the equipment stays on site and all the trades are already there. Maybe I'm looking at it a little differently but I don't know, I'm looking at it through a layman's eyes. And to me, I think it would make sense.
Can I add something? Can I add something? I just am concerned if we do that, is there enough time before school starts to get all
Absolutely
of
not.
that done?
Absolutely not. We
And
don't
out of
have the resources to be able to do that and keep this job on schedule like we are.
That's my only concern, Bob. And I think your other points are valid, and I think they need to be investigated. But
Okay.
I can't have it under containment when kids come back.
No, understand. I hear you.
Maybe
hopefully
when you're out there
past
tomorrow,
containment.
Bob, we can take a look at it. I'll show you what we're up against.
Okay, all right.
So what you're suggesting, Jim, and I know Geraldine's going to talk about the money, and just so the commission knows, the district hired somebody to give a second opinion, just to see if there was other options, and there really aren't. What you're suggesting is, when would it get done? Like next summer, or what would be the time frame?
Well, I would like to nail down the scope because it sounded like there was a little bit of a gray area as far as the areas under the housekeeping pads. So if we nail that down, that doesn't make a tremendous difference, but I would think you're quite easily looking at a month worth of concentrated work in that area to remove those slabs, remove equipment, remove slabs, get the slabs back and set the equipment back. That would be at least a month's worth of work in there.
Is there a compromise position per se, Jim? I mean, can this be done September, October? And what needs to be on for the school? I mean, you're not going to be into the heating season, because I very much agree with Bob's, on that, especially that this is new equipment, it has no commissioning yet. I mean, I'd hate to turn this stuff on, next year we're back, warranty problems, and it's just going to be a nightmare.
No,
So
what he says makes a lot of sense, but there's no easy answer in there. It's just
Yeah,
right now, it's
that's
just
what I'm-
time. But I'd have to give that some thought to give you an honest answer.
Yeah, could you look at that and just see what items, even if we do some temporary for the hot water or what have you, and keep the boilers down, keep
Right.
the main system down and bring it up, when it is done. And it gives you, let's say 3 months, 2.5,
Right.
3
But
months.
isn't
Well,
there,
but the issues, the PCB abatement before would all have to be done off containment before school starts. And that's the biggest part of, from my perspective. We can't open like that. And
Huh. Okay. Huh.
no, go ahead.
I was just wondering, because even though it's in the boiler room per se,
No.
I said, okay. I didn't
We
realize that.
just can't. And not only can't we, just from a legal perspective, my parents would go nuts if we had that up while it was there. I mean, we did little abatements that took a weekend and
Right.
when school was in session, but we got it all down before kids came back. Now, I will say that if we go into distance learning again in the fall, there
I'll
may
get
be
it.
an opportunity.
Right.
That
Right.
might spring up. And then I'd love to hear from Geraldine, how will it affect the bigger project in terms of like completion and filing with the state and eligibility? And my other question is, Jim, could you do part of it now? Like, could you get part of it
Right.
done, like the slabs around the boilers, and get that done and quicker, and then maybe focus on other areas? That's just a question I have.
Yeah, and I'd want to give a thoughtful answer to that. I'd want to look at that a little more closely with the trades involved, and I don't want to miss something mechanically that I may be creating a problem with as far as getting the schools ready. So let me just have some meetings and do some digging on that.
Yeah,
We need to have further discussions with Enviromed about the plan under which we're going to do this. So the requirement is to, from the state's point of view, is to make, in quotes, steady progress towards removing the PCBs. So in terms of the timing of the work, Enviromed is suggesting that we do part of it. We try to chip away at the concrete in the areas that do not have any equipment on them. And then, test and clean those areas. And then at some point going forward, do the part that impacts the equipment. So that's sort of the parameters of the abatement work. Now, how we work that into the construction schedule and the school schedule is sort of up to us. So sort of a separate question. And what Christine raised about how does it work into the state reimbursement. I know that Jim would like to remove themselves from having to do this work, and under some circumstances, yes, we would close out the construction contract. We would, make a totally new project out of removing this floor material. But I don't think that that's going to work for the state. They'll entertain it as as a change order to this project because the work came up in the course of this renovation. But I don't see any good way or any clear way to start with another contractor and still have it fit into the state's project parameters. But we haven't asked yet, but I don't have a lot of hope that will work out. And the other issue is, then we have the issues of, if we do keep this project open and we don't deal with those slabs until next spring or next summer, we've kept the entire project open as a project. So that has implications too, to Rizzo. We would close out all the other subcontractors and then just bring back the ones that we need to do the work. Yeah, so there's a lot of questions about this, but since we've looked at it once and looked at it with another environmental consultant, and we are all pretty sure at this point that we have to remove the paint, which means removing a portion, if not all, of the slab. That's where we're at.
Geraldine, I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You mentioned steady progress. If we wait until next summer, is that not steady progress?
John Luby and Enviromed said that would still be considered steady progress.
It is. I mean, I've known of school districts that have done it over years.
Yeah, there's no.
I'm not suggesting that. I just know that
Well, and I sort of asked him, so what if I sort of left it open, like, what if it never happens? You know, we have a plan, but we never quite finish the project. And I'm not clear on where that information is or who reports to who or what, but because there's no, it's not like asbestos where there's an absolute requirement to remove the materials and do it under containment and then test the air and make sure everything's gone. PCBs they're much more loosely regulated. We've heard this all the way along. And so as long as you're not disturbing them, and I think and in this case, because they're not even in a student area anymore, I don't think that the DEP is looking that closely at the removal. So it complicates things because there isn't sort of a hard and fast requirement.
Why can't we ask for a special permission to seal it from the state? Because it's in a non-student area. It's in a boiler room. If we could put an epoxy sealing that.
We've already investigated it, John. And we've had 2 different consultants say you can't do it.
So there, I mean, because there is an avenue to do that, but there is no, neither consultant feels like it's a good bet. And we're also hearing that, so this goes to EPA as well as to the state, it goes to the federal government. And just the process by which that review would happen would take so long that we would, we might not get a decision until, the holidays or something in the fall. And then we might still be back to doing what we're planning on doing now.
Geraldine?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
You brought up a good point. Why can't you just remove the concrete around the housekeeping pads now while there's nobody in the school? And then worry about the other areas at the later date.
I think that is the plan that we would work with Rizzo and the subcontractors on.
Are you saying leave the dirt floor?
Then you're just talking about smaller housekeeping pads that you need to remove the equipment and the housekeeping pads after.
Yeah.
Be a lot less work being done other than moving the equipment.
Well, concern with that is if you remove the entire slab, could the pad shift? My other question is, if
You're
we
going to undermine them.
Right. So if we do this in the future, though, say we go down this road, right? We remove the concrete pads now, or the floor, we pour new, we leave the old stuff. When they go to remove the housekeeping pad stuff, you have to remove the pumps and all the equipment. Does that void warranty? Do we have to recommission? Because that'll add cost to it as well. So I just want to make sure we know up front that, yes, in a year, 2 years from now, when we do the rest of this work, you have to recommission. Okay, so that's extra cost. You will have to re-warranty the product. So that's an extra cost. That's the only thing I have to ask. Because I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know.
And I don't know either. I think it's not so much the equipment as the connections. It's the coupling.
Right.
We picking up a pump and moving it, not disassembling it. As far as I know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good sense of the implications there. I also don't. We do have a proposal from the abatement contract, from the demolition contractor, to remove the floor slab, which is not exactly what we're talking about right now, but maybe what we have to do. But we have not yet had any chance to consider what the costs are to the equipment that would have to be eventually moved and replaced. So there is a cost there that we haven't even explored.
And that's
So have some of these, like Jim was saying, wanting to give it more thought. So the second report, the report that was done, the kind of extra report, you just received the results of those recently, right? Like late last week, and that started to be looked at that point. So there's still some kind of review and planning that needs to happen, it sounds like.
There is planning that needs to be done. So the testing is done. We know what we've got there. We have a good idea of that the floor paint and any leaching of PCBs into the concrete below it, to whatever depth, needs to be removed. But we don't have a plan together yet, which is what I think Jim was talking about. We really do need to have a meeting with all the involved subs and Rizzo is going to have to look at it in terms of the schedule to complete the rest of the work that needs to be done before school starts.
And
Did-
one other
did
thing
we
too,
do-
it's not just, excuse me,
Did-
there's one other thing, it's not just the floor, it's the stairs as well. The concrete stairs that bring you
Right.
down into the pit.
Right.
Right.
Did we do testing that came up with that they decided that the floor had to remove? Because I just came from a district that we had PCBs in our boiler room, and they did not make us remove the whole floor. So they made us grind it down to an acceptable level, and then we were able to epoxy it over. We had the exact same, actually, we had more. We had it in the floors and we had it in the walls at Saks Middle School. They didn't make us chop up the whole floor. We were dealing with Kim Tisa at EPA, and they let us grind it down and epoxy it and seal it in.
So people keep telling us that, and yet, all right, so, well, so it sounds like you did go to some sort of waiver to EPA.
Yeah. And the only thing they did is they put a restriction on the deed, you know, but the town said, we're always going to keep it a school. It's, you know, it's never going to be anything else but a school, that it was recorded on the deed, but they didn't make us chop up the whole boiler room floor. And I'm going to tell you, it was a very large boiler room, and they just let us grind it and epoxy it.
So I have a question, just kind of to go backwards a little bit. And all the new boiler stuff was put in before we realized that the floor was supposedly hot. And I guess once you started finding that certain areas of Rockwell where that paint was, like even grinding it was taking, you couldn't even grind it down far enough, which is why you started busting up some of the floors and re-pouring them, because it was simpler and more cost effective. But in this case, where so we didn't test this beforehand because, right. And it was after the fact in a way where I don't know, remember where the first slab was found with this paint, where we had to start doing grinding. And then it was about a month, or maybe it was in May, I think I remember discussing more floors that needed to be demoed and re-poured rather than ground. But what John Perna is saying sounds like it could be an option. Is it?
So I can only suspect that when they did grind the floors, they got the PCB level down to under the 50 parts per million, or which is what the federal standard is. So, and at that point, you know, allowed for an epoxy coating. I can only suppose.
Was there testing done that they said, oh, you'll never get it down to below 50? I mean, we did it in the gym, right? We grind the gym and decided.
Yeah. So areas in the gym, a couple areas in the cafeteria, even the area in the administrative workroom, those were PCBs from mastic under floor tile, or in the case of the gym, the mastic under the tar paper. After all of those areas were ground down, some of them more than once, we were able to test and bring it down below the 1 part per million that is the state threshold. This floor tested at 960 parts per million. So I think the concern is that we will not be able to, the concern is whether we can grind down enough. And in fact, the latest recommendation from Enviromed was not to grind, but was to actually chip away a 1/2 to 1 inch of concrete. Because I think the concern, and maybe their experience, is that when you have that high of a level on the surface, you are going to find it quite a bit farther down into the concrete than we were finding on the other PCB levels, which were, you know, which hovered around 1 and 3 and 5 and 14 parts per million, but we're up at 960 parts per million.
And this is paint, not glue, which tends to leach more into the concrete? Is that what you're finding with the different areas that you've had to work on?
It's what it looks like in this school. Yeah, is that the paint areas were a bigger problem than the mastic areas. But some of the areas, some of the PCB in some of those other areas from the mastic took 2 times of grinding down the slab, cleaning it, testing it, coming back and grinding down again. So,
And
So I think-
they also, even where we pulled the slabs out, the soil beneath it would come up PCB contaminated. So
And how thick was the slab in that case, Jim?
you're at least a 4-inch slab.
Right.
well, some of that residual is from removing the slab. Necessarily the dust gets into the soil.
Right.
Carolyn,
But because as you're chopping up the slab and it's getting in the soil, you got to remove the soil too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have
comment,
asked,
please.
go ahead.
If you'll notice in that boiler room, along the base of the wall, all the way around the circumference of the boiler room, it's about 4 to 6 inch border that goes around. Yeah, see the picture on the right-hand side? Look straight ahead. So now you got paint on the wall as well as the floor. So keep that in mind as well.
Well, Jim Twitchell's answer to that was, did you test the paint on the wall? And the answer was no, only the floor got tested. He said, well, if it's not tested, we don't know what it is. You don't have to deal with it.
Okay.
And as all these guys keep saying, the issue is about the testing. If we had not tested any of this red paint and left it, no one would be obviously, well, let me just say, I guess if you don't test, you don't have any cases, right? So we do plan to just leave the paint on the wall, and we only want to deal with the areas that they did test, which was on the floor.
And will the paint on the wall be sealed or covered with something?
I don't really recall whether we're putting paint or anything on the walls here. Probably not if they haven't been painted yet.
Yeah, they get painted.
Oh, do they? Okay. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
paint them.
Okay.
Red?
All right. So
I got a quick question.
Yep.
What's the height of the ceiling in that boiler room? Jim?
What's
Or Ken?
Yeah,
14 feet?
I say anywhere from 12 to 15 feet, something like that.
Is it allowable that you encapsulate a foot of concrete down there above that existing floor?
That's one of the things that we would look at is maybe we can make corridors and this way then protect the equipment. So there'd have to be some thought into how that containment goes up there, and it would probably have to be in multiple stages to try to do the pathways between the housekeeping pads and yet keep the equipment intact and cover the equipment as well as create the containment tent for the removal.
So it sounds like you still gotta you gotta get a lot of answers there yet.
Yes.
Hey, Jim? This
Yes.
is Bob. Hey, Jim, remember, a lot of this equipment came through that opening in the wall. Now, if we do anything next year, that opening's now no longer there.
And you're pretty tight over there as well, yes.
Because we had that wall opened up when we took out the fresh air vents for the old boilers.
Right.
So that's how they passed through a lot of this equipment through.
Hey,
How
Bob,
come this area was missed during the primary survey?
So none of the paint was tested prior to construction during the development of the hazardous material report.
and it was found after one floor.
The first thing we tested was that electrical room,
Yep.
right, adjacent to this area, because the plan was, and it must have been back in November, I'm thinking. It was last fall.
Yeah,
The-
October.
Yeah, that floor needed to come out because of the of the in-slab or under-slab utilities that needed to be redone. So at that point, we tested the red paint because I think most likely at the prompting of the demolition contractor, who wanted to know how to dispose of the material. At that point, after that, we realized there was red paint in other areas of the school. And so after that, we tested all the other instances where there was the same red floor paint. And that's how this came up.
I've had a hard time believing that when we hired the professionals to go in to do the inspection of the building for asbestos and PVCs that they didn't test these floors in the beginning. It's unbelievable.
Well, they tested other paint throughout the school, and there was, you know, the different walls, I think, were the ones that came up.
A boiler room is a major room that you do major construction in. It should have been looked at, but that's here or there now.
Right. All right, so we're going to get some more information together to come up with a plan, whether it gets done. I mean, basically, we're hearing from Jim and Ken that doing it now would really push things way off schedule. It wouldn't be done. And I can understand, like, wanting to do it now, getting it done while all the trades are there, yet, and then saying, you know, I think it was Roy who said, well, we don't really need the boiler running when school starts, but we need parts of it, I think. That
Need the hot water. That's what the federal law requires, hot water.
hot water, and there's nothing in there that creates air exchange, et cetera, because I know there's all kinds of new guidelines.
No.
That's not in that area.
Nope.
All right, well, take up all the different options that people have brought up tonight and figure out.
I still think we should explore the avenue of looking for a waiver. That's just, if you're gonna explore things, you gotta look at everything.
I agree.
There's that too, so everybody's got all the different ideas.
Hey, Bob, what time are you going to be there tomorrow?
I start at 7 o'clock.
Will you be here? What time would you like? Is it possible to meet you at Rockwell tomorrow morning?
Not a problem. You tell me. I'm looking at my calendar right now.
So am I. 8 a.m. good for you?
You got it.
I'll see you there, sir.
I'll
Okay.
join you.
Rich
Sure,
is
anybody
coming
wants to
too.
come?
Just don't have a
I take
quorum.
cream with 1 sugar.
If you have a quorum, don't tell me.
What kind of donuts you like?
Well, if you're gonna have donuts. Okay, so
Nancy, what do you want in your coffee?
I have to work tomorrow. So we've got lots of different ideas. Some are possibly, you know, we might be able to do something with those. Others might just not work, but if we can look at all of them, that would be great. And just, we can't leave Rockwell yet because I want to know what's going on with the roof.
So, the,
Before we jump into the roof, I just want to point out that on the shared drive are a couple of reports on the testing that was done on paint. There was also the estimate from NIRAM to take out the floor in the boiler room. And then there's copies of a couple of emails from Enviromed that explain both the method that they're recommending we deal with this and a reason why we can't use an encapsulated epoxy paint and stuff like that. So if you're interested in some more detail, it's under this folder that's called Rockwell Abatement under the meeting documents for this meeting. So.
Thanks, Geraldine. Yeah, check those out before we start running around with crazy plans that might not work. But I think of different ones that everybody came up with are worth looking at.
We'll continue to pursue that.
Yes.
Follow that.
So Rockwell Roof, what's going on there?
so they removed the exterior insulation off of the ductwork on Saturday, and the HVAC contractor has been up there to review the duct, and he was up there today, and he's going to get back to us probably tomorrow to let us know what his schedule is. I believe he's already got some of the pieces in fabrication, but that's where that stands right now. It was removed and covered, and it's in progress.
So is the rest of the Rockwell roof complete? It's just that area that needs to be finished up?
The rubber is all on the roofs except for the loading dock, which we haven't done yet, but yes. And we just have some edge blocking and the edge fascia to go. And the roof hatch.
And did the, with that whole situation with the roofers and the HVAC with the ductwork, et cetera, did they come up with a way of securing all of that to the roof, which keeps the ductwork from blowing away and keeps the roof from leaking? Bob's shaking his head. I can
Well,
see.
I'm
this.
shaking my head because I was up there today. And a lot of the support, the channel iron that supports all that ductwork, it's still not braced. So the ductwork, if you lean up against it, it's going to move. It's got to get secured. So I don't know how long we're going to wait before it gets secured.
And who does the securing? Is that HVAC?
Yeah, that would have to be, because they have to pitch it correctly. They have to secure it correctly. Then they got to wrap it.
But the roof part,
Well, that's the another end of it. That they have to do probably in conjunction with the roofer.
which is
So you
what I
got-
thought. Right, I thought that should have happened the first place, but obviously it didn't. So what's the difference between this roof and Rockwell or in Johnson? Is there ductwork on the roof at Johnson?
Yes, they use the type of support that just rests right on the roof. So nothing is fastened. It's all just like a frame that has rubber pads on the bottom that sits on the roof. So you're
So
not.
why can't we do that? Why can't we do that at Rockwell?
You had Action Air had two methods approved. The one that you see on the upper roof, and then on the lower roof, he'll be using the type that Ken just described that he's also using over at Johnson. And Bob, I'd be happy to look at what you're talking about tomorrow. You know, they did take the insulation off over the weekend, so I don't know if a stand got disturbed or something like that, but I'd be happy to take a look at it with you.
No,
I will gladly take all the photographs if you want. I will gladly show you anything that you need to see, especially what I'm seeing. So meet me there tomorrow. Anybody wants to be there.
I'll be out there tomorrow.
Is Joe still on the phone? Joe's there. Okay, Joe Cooley. So what I'm believing Bob is talking about is, even though some of the ductwork dunnage is flashed into the roof, you can still go up to the top of the dunnage and move it like this, and the ductwork also moves with it.
Yes,
So
correct.
what is the proper fastening technique to make that one piece, as opposed, because that way, if you make it all one piece, it won't be able to move if you do it to all of them. If you leave them like that, that was my point a couple months ago, is they're all gonna move, they're gonna do this. You could possibly rip the membrane or whatever, I don't know. And again, I'm just asking, what would be a proper fastening technique to make it all one unit so this doesn't happen and you don't ruin the insulation over time with movement and whatnot? And I know, Joe, we looked at that with Ken
And Joe Costa.
and Joe Costa. Thank you.
Well, Action Air had it right. They did a really nice job the first time. Why can't they just go back and do it again?
I missed it the first time. How did they have it anchored, Bob?
They had it anchored to that unistrut.
Okay. Okay.
But I thought we were going to help Joe investigate that to see if we're within the design envelope of what we were looking to do. Hey, Joe, are you there?
Yes, yeah. We actually responded to the RFI, and I'm actually going to reopen it and modify the response a little bit. I believe the concern was the attachment through the duct support at the roof. So we're going to be requiring a neoprene pad below the support above the flashing, and then the compressible sealant to make sure that everything is sealed up tight to the roofing manufacturer's requirements.
Hey,
But,
Bob.
hey, Joe, was that part of the original plans, Joe?
I don't believe so.
Can I make a comment? There was a workman from Action Air stated that they had photographs of the original plan or the original work.
That's
Why
what I was
don't
going
we
to
just go back to those photographs? If he does have them, let him produce them. Let's see what they originally installed.
Yeah, the roofing manufacturer's recommended install for the curbs here is for the roofing membrane to go over the top of the blocking. And
Okay.
I don't know if that was done or not.
And then the unistrut hooks to that. And then and the top part, it hooks to the duct. It all
Right.
becomes one unit.
Yep.
At that point.
We need those pictures.
If they say they have them, maybe Ken can get them from them.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we've got pictures.
But do you
Well,
have
there
the
you go.
pictures? Do you have the pictures that Action Air took?
Yeah, they put it in for the contract detail.
Okay,
Roofing
And they
manufacturer,
did a great job.
right, but the roofing manufacturer doesn't think it's waterproof. So he's suggested another detail that Joe is going to provide that we do it.
On whose dollar is that going to be provided?
is that part of the roofer's insurance claim?
No, this is an issue where Action Air provided the contractual support. We're now looking for him to add waterproofing to the top of that. So Bob, that's the issue that, and again, I'll be glad to show it to you tomorrow. So we're all-
Okay, I didn't know that.
that's the issue. So the addition of the waterproofing of the top of that is not in the contract.
Okay, okay, I understand that now. I didn't know that in the beginning, but the point I was trying to say is they had the unistrut cut nice and neatly. They had it secured. It was all in one height. It wasn't all different pieces sticking up. And, it looked professional. So
Right.
that's the photographs I'd like to have you take a look
And
at.
that's what they'll get back to. That's what they're repairing now. But that doesn't speak to the problem of once you penetrate the cap on that stand, you've then created a problem for John Mansville. And that's
So, okay,
where we're putting some neoprene under that so that we resolve that issue under the cap.
Right, I agree with that, but I have a question because again, I came to the party late, and it's for Bob actually, is when this was first done, there are now all new stands in place compared to what there used to be? Are there new duct supports?
well, when you and I walked up there the first time, when all that mess was up there, those stands were not in the original positions that Action Air had them.
Okay,
The roofers didn't put them back on. And the reason why we know that is because Action Air marked all the ducts. He said, with an arrow, put it here, put it here. So somebody must have been, it laid out the job for them.
okay.
So that's how we knew that they were not in exactly the same spot.
So all that racking and misaligned duct was due to the roofer, not
Yes.
the original install.
That's what
No.
they're
Correct.
telling.
Okay.
The roofers took it all apart and then put it back together.
Great.
Different roofers than Johnson. Okay, so you're all gonna look at that tomorrow, and we're gonna keep working on making sure that the ductwork is secure and the roof doesn't leak. We have to have that. We have to. I'm gonna keep going back to what Terry said a few weeks ago. We're renovating as new, which gives us a 20-year school. We don't want stuff falling apart in 10 years or 5 years or a year. So bring extra coffee tomorrow. Because you might need it. Is there anything else on Johnson or Rockwell for Ken or Jim in the construction update part? Or can we move along?
There is and I don't know if the RFI got into Joe, but we're seeing deflection in a second floor beam where there was an existing CMU removed on the first floor. It wasn't load bearing, but we're seeing even a separation. You can see it upstairs. When you look at the vinyl base, you can actually see it's probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And you can actually see it downstairs when you look at the ceiling grid we have in, which is set by laser. You can actually measure the deflection end to end on that. So that's something that we should, Joe, do you want to bring the structural engineer out? We'd be happy to show him because now's the time to try to do something about that.
Yes, I'm. Ken told me about that yesterday afternoon, and I'm going to get in touch with DTC about that and the other issue that you were asking me about with the inspection of the roof ductwork.
Right.
Okay.
Nancy, can I just make one more comment?
Sure.
You know, we've asked Ken and Jim a couple of times already to have the yards cleaned up, and I just want to say they've done a great job with that. Both sites look very good, and they've really picked up had the contractors pick that up. So I just wanted to get that comment. I mean, we're beating them up, but they need to have the positive stuff too.
Yeah.
And
That's good,
Thanks.
because I don't
Thank you.
drink coffee, so.
Bring them some ice cream. All right, so anything else before we move along? I mean, if you think of something, we can always jump back, but I think we're moving into budget review. Is that our next thing there, Geraldine? Oh, there it is.
Yes, we're moving into a bunch of financial issues here today. So just our typical review of the budget at Johnson. After invoices and requisitions and everything approved last month, we are billed about 61% of the entire project, and about 65% of the construction contract has been invoiced prior to what you'll see tonight. We are currently sitting with an owner's contingency at Johnson of over 2.2 million, and still have a little bit left in the environmental contingency. And I also just highlighted that the contractor's contingency is at 588. And all this will, go ahead.
So that percentage, the percentage expended, does it match the percentage work done?
Yeah, on the construction side, I think absolutely it does. In fact, it's obviously we'll see another requisition tonight that will bump that up, another few percentages. We probably are about 70% of the way complete on probably both schools at this point, I would say.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. At Rockwell, similarly, we're a little bit ahead of the game on our billings on this project. 65% of the total project and 67% on construction alone. And the owner's contingency at Rockwell is sitting at $692,804. Now, this is important because we are going to present to you tonight a number of PCOs. There are a number of proposed change orders that have been sitting with the team that we haven't quite come to an agreement on. So I am just going to present them all to you as the building committee and make some decisions on what you would like to take on as owner cost on some of the changes that we've been negotiating and what will go back to the contractor. But before we do that, I put together a really quick analysis, and this is primarily about Rockwell, obviously, because we are seeing really high continual additional costs for the abatement that was unanticipated. So I want to just walk us through where we are in a worst case scenario here with the remaining money that we have to disperse on Rockwell. So as I mentioned, the current owner's contingency here is $692,804. We're going to present tonight a couple of additional proposals from Malone and McBroom to assist with the site work that you had all requested a couple of meetings ago. One of those items is to revise the fencing at Rockwell up by the bocce courts from the wood to the chain link. That will take some design work from Malone and McBroom in the amount of just short of $2,000. PCOs that do not have to do with abatement that we're going to present tonight for your approval, the ones at least that I'm recommending the building committee accept, total just under $22,000 and another $116,675 in abatement PCOs. So those are things that we'll hopefully deal with right after this sort of budget review. You'll see on the PCO log that there are additional PCOs sitting with the team yet to be fully vetted by either the architect, the engineers, or the owner. That includes $12,000 $12,121 at Rockwell. And then two of the PCOs I broke out. These are the Ferguson PCOs that had to do with the alternate route of their feeders off corridor, which they have continued to explain was not the way they build the project. So those are additional PCOs that we will have to discuss. And again, there's another $110,000 worth of abatement PCOs. You'll see these all listed on the PCO log. And then this $213,000 number is the current estimate to remove the slab in the boiler room. So we know right now that, or we don't know right now where that scope or that amount of money is going to go, but that's at least what we know today. I also added on to this list the two additional services from your professional team here. Made a stab at some additional PCOs and additional abatement testing. Those are kind of pie in the sky numbers. And what I'm looking at today is the possibility that we will need to spend an additional $738,190 from our contingency. But right now it only sits at $692,804. So I wanted to be transparent with all of these numbers. And then when we go and look at the PCO log, you'll see where some of these numbers are coming from. And we'll talk about the individual proposed change orders. Now on Johnson, we have sort of a totally different scenario where we're starting with a $2.2 million contingency today. We have far fewer change orders to look at today, far fewer proposed change orders, later, primarily due, obviously, to the lack of having to spend a lot of money on abatement at Johnson. We do have the larger Ferguson PCO for rerouting the feeders off corridor. And then we have a little bit higher numbers on the consultant additional services asks. But on Johnson, we're looking at a potential $526,000 coming out of contingency through the next 3 months. But we're starting in so much better position because we still have 2.2 million there. So we're showing right now projecting that at Johnson, we would still have almost $1.7 million left in contingency. But at Rockwell, we're even farther in the hole than we were originally. As you recall, even the GMP, which led to a project budget of $26,132,570, was in excess of what the state had approved as a total project budget. So we were always running at a loss at Rockwell. We were always running at a gain at Johnson. And when you combine the two, the town still makes out at the end of the day, but because they're two separate projects, we're tracking those financials obviously separately. And then just at the bottom of this page, as a note, there at Rockwell, there is $339,739 left in the construction contingency and $578,000 at Johnson. Although I'm pushing back some PCOs you'll see tonight on them that will reduce those numbers. Now, we can refer back to this, this tabulation as we go through the PCOs. It is also up on the shared drive for your future reference or downloading today. So I know the agenda shows talking about the Malone McBroom additional services, and then we still have a line there here to talk about the other professional services, and then the agenda proposes that we talk about change orders, but I want to reverse that and look at the proposed change orders first.
That's fine. We can do that.
Carolyn, can I ask 2 questions?
Yep.
Go back to where you were, please. Here we go. Do you think that these numbers will be good through the end of the project?
Take out your crystal ball.
No, I think that we definitely do run the risk of entertaining more than this 38,500 on Rockwell. I don't know I don't know when the abatement is going to end. And now that we're talking about adding some scope at the roof, and if there is an issue with this, a deflection on a beam, you know, we have 3 more months on Rockwell before the entire building is supposed to be substantially complete. And, you know, your guess is as good as mine. We have been, you know, if you look at the percentages of change orders to date, we've been extremely frugal with how additional costs have been proposed and then dealt with, pushed back on some of the subs, taken out of the contractor's contingency. We've been very diligent about assessing, about having the owner have to pay for a lot of extra work. We've been pretty successful at that. The percentages on additional costs are very low on both schools, except for abatement at Rockwell. And that is just, it continues to be the big unknown. As I said earlier, even if we go ahead with the route in the boiler room of removing the slab, we don't even know what it'll cost to move the equipment and then reinstall it. That's not even in this calculation. So I think we're in good shape other than abatement, but abatement sets the whole thing at Rockwell kind of off kilter.
My second question was on the construction manager's contingency. If that's not spent, do they keep it?
No, if they don't spend it, you get it. It comes back to the owner, and typically on a project, it's at probably about this point in the project, we're working with the construction manager to have them draw down on their contingency for even some legitimate owner costs, just to, you know, to make the numbers work. So that one reason why I present those numbers is because it may influence your interest in having some PCOs be pushed back onto the construction side.
And these numbers are their current status and their contingency, is that right?
That's correct. You'll see those 2 numbers are the contingency line item that's in the application for payment that you'll see tonight. So that's what's remaining on their contingency.
It's already been drawn down a bit by actual change orders, right?
Well, they have booked some, yes, some change orders that you have rejected.
Right.
That they have been obligated to pay to subcontractors who come out of there, and probably a number of costs that we don't even see that were unanticipated on the construction side.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Geraldine, also, where are we with, I mean, do we still have any kind of indication from the state as far as, you know, we're still under budget with the total cost of the project, but moving some from Johnson to Rockwell to cover the shortfall that we started with when we first got going with construction?
So we're still good with the state because, of course, they're not seeing all these future numbers. They've only seen up to change order 4. We're about to create a change order 5 for them. My understanding from the way Christine described her conversations with the commissioner early on is that we get one shot to make an appeal to increase the allowable budget on Rockwell. We're going to have to, we will have to, and we will be able to justify it with the abatement costs that we've incurred, and then supplement that, that argument with the fact that on Johnson, we are not going to use all of the budget that they allowed us to have as an approved grant for reimbursement. So those are the 2 ways. But we get one chance to make that appeal, and we want to make it at a time when we're pretty certain of what the abatement numbers are going to be, because that's what's backing up the additional costs.
Right. So we want to be as close as possible to knowing what the numbers exactly are before we make that appeal, because we don't get a second chance.
Correct. And right now, I mean, well, the second chance is to go to the legislature and ask them to pass a special bill, which can be done. It happens on a lot of projects, but it takes it out of the administrative side and puts it into the legislative side. I'm hopeful that within about a month, we will have a good handle on the abatement at Rockwell. We will, if we have not dealt with the boiler room, we will at least have a plan. And all of the, right now at Rockwell, all of the base, all of the base contract abatement and demolition work is complete. That contractor is only working on additional abatement that we're finding as we go along with other work. So I think we are coming close to when we will know what our additional costs are for all of this abatement.
Okay. And again, your number in there for boiler room slab removal is basically just for the slab and possibly replacing it or whatever needs to be done, but not any of the mechanical parts that are going to have to get.
That's correct. This was just a proposal from the abatement contractor to take out that slab. But
Right.
that was a
And
number.
that doesn't include the replacement though. Just to-
Correct, which is another thing that I haven't really factored in here. All of these places where we're removing slab have to have concrete put back in.
Right. So that's taking it out and abating it, but not putting anything back in.
Correct. So we haven't seen any of those numbers yet.
Can we make the boilers float, maybe?
So anyways, there's work to be done there. I want to start with Johnson, as I think it's the more straightforward of the change orders that we're going to be looking at. Oops. Now, we have been, many months ago, you'll recall, we presented this PCO 4 from basically from Ferguson in the amount of $125,546.40 for the routing of the feeders through, you know, they come in by the loading dock, they have to go all the way down to the new addition. Ferguson had costed it out based on going down the corridors. We couldn't go down the corridors because there wasn't enough room. You all remember this story. So there was an alternate route and they are claiming that it cost them an additional $125,546 over what they had included in their bid. You had tabled this a few months ago. The work is done. And my understanding from Jim today is that this is a number that could be negotiated further. Jim? That this might be the well.
Yeah, Ferguson has approached us, you know, stating that they were open to negotiation. Cheryl and I spoke about it. I don't think it hurts to listen to what they have to say, but let them say what they want to say. I didn't want to proceed with that or react to that until, you know, Geraldine and I had an opportunity to speak and she had an opportunity to bring you guys up to speed.
Which I think is a good idea because we've been carrying this $125,000 number, not encouraging you to act on it and spend the money, but we are still looking at that in our calculations for liabilities on the project. So with your concurrence, Jim will have that conversation with Ferguson and see how this number could be negotiated lower, obviously.
So they would look at actual costs, labor and materials, and see what we come up with and go from there.
Correct. And we tracked their time, so we'll have that part of the conversation with them.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. I don't know if others have any
I
input
agree.
on that. Okay, so Jim,
No
you'll,
brainer.
Yeah, exactly.
yep, go for it.
Okay.
Because I know we're gonna have to deal with it one way or the other. It's either gonna come out of our contingency or yours. It's just gotta get dealt with.
Yeah, but by the same token, Nancy, I mean, we're pretty strong on that, you know, we felt that should have been, they should have known how to put that thing in to start with. They knew the ceiling heights. They knew what was going on there. They're big boys. So I'm not overly excited about that. And I think we ought to convey that to them at the same time, you know, with the negotiations that, you know, we're willing to look at it, but I'm not convinced.
Well, that's what I opened with, so that's where the conversation will pick up.
Okay, good. Good.
Sounds good, Jim. Thanks for taking that point to him.
So, proposed change orders that we do want to have you act on tonight. PCO 29. So again, this is at Johnson. I'm hoping that, Joe, you can explain a little bit about why this came up. It had to do with conflicts in roof drain locations that caused drain lines in the gym to conflict with steel and also run in front of windows, as I recall. Joe, can you fill in some detail here?
Yes, it's going back quite a ways.
I know.
I'm trying to remember the exact issues. I think what we did is we had to reroute some of the drain lines, and I think the net change resulted in a slight add.
Yeah, so and the reason this was that we're having trouble recalling is that this change order has been out for a while. It has gone back and forth. We have sent it back for additional credits on lengths of piping, and then getting detailed materials lists to make sure that that all the costs were identified, and it landed at $5,517.98, fully reviewed by the design team and by the construction team. So we're recommending this be approved and come from the owner's contingency.
I'd make that recommendation.
Okay, so that's a motion from Roy to approve PCO. We're all on Johnson right now, right? Or Rockwell?
Correct. Yep.
And Johnson,
number 20.
PCO number 29, storm drain and piping rerouting in the amount of $5,517.98.
I'll second
it.
So John seconds it. Any other discussion on it or questions? As Geraldine said, this is the kind of final number. You've gone back and forth. You've gotten some credits for us. So this is as good as we're going to get.
I believe it is.
Okay. So anything else from anybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed? I can't see everyone. So if you're waving or you got to say something, either jump in the chat box or unmute yourself and holla. Okay, we're good with that one.
All right, PCO 42. Now, again, I'm depending on both Ken and or Joe to jump in if I mischaracterize anything or if they want to make a point. But in this case, my understanding is that the subcontractor in the submittal suggested different sized grills for the diffusers in the gym. And the engineer said, sure, but said, since you're changing the size, we have to change the number in order to get the same amount of ventilation. And the subcontractor proceeded with that, okay, go ahead, and then presented us with a change order for the different sized grill. Now, in my opinion, when the subcontractor suggests a substitution, it should not result in an additional cost to the owner later on. The engineer accommodated the suggestion of the subcontractor. My recommendation is that we reject this additional request.
So I'll make a motion so we can discuss further.
Yep.
So I make a motion that we reject change order number 42 for Johnson School, substituting the diffusers at the gym in the amount of $1,843.42.
Second.
Dave seconds. And so can we get some either questions or input from anybody on this?
I agree with Geraldine on that. We shouldn't be billed for it after they requested it.
Any other input from anyone?
Well, what was the change? What was the configuration of the diffuser? Was it?
It was a smaller size. So and we have the same issue on the other school, so I'm probably confusing the size issue, but it was something like the original specifications asked for a 48 by 12 inch grill. The subcontractor came back and said, well, we'd like to do 36 by 20. The engineer recalculated, you know, to make sure that you had enough
Yeah, volume.
airflow, said, well, if you do that, you need a fourth grill. And that's what resulted in the additional cost.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree. Okay,
Either
thank you.
install it as specified or don't charge me for the substitution.
Absolutely.
Can always count on you for a good explanation. Thank you, Geraldine.
All right, so any other questions or comments here? Okay, so then let's vote. So we're voting to reject, which means it comes out of construction contingency. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does anybody oppose? Okay, so that carries. That's been rejected. It's coming out of construction contingency.
All right, the next one is PCO 44. This is another Ferguson change order. This is to charge us for drafting time to revise their coordination documents once we changed to the MC feeders at Johnson. So again, this change to MC feeders versus what was specified was done to accommodate the schedule and get temporary power to the new classrooms back in December. So two things. Number one, this change order is absolutely past the 6-month timeline. And secondly, it is the opinion of myself and actually I got this information from the architects that revisions to coordination studies are part of coordination, general conditions, responsibility of the contractor and not the owner.
Okay, then. So we have to, so each one of these, we either have to accept or reject.
Correct. So again, we're advising rejection. The amount of the change order is $1,457.15.
I'll make a motion that we reject PCO 44 from Johnson, revision of coordination study in the amount of $1,457.15.
I'll second that.
Roy seconds it. Any more questions, comments, et cetera, et cetera? Again, approving it means we reject it. Approving my motion means we reject the change order and it comes out of construction contingency. All in favor?
Nancy, I have a quick
Wait,
question.
somebody's got, who's got a question?
Rich.
Okay.
That's not necessarily the construction manager. He can argue the fact with the contractor. You're not saying that has to come out of construction contingency.
Well, where else is it going to come from?
Well, no, technically that's true. So once you reject it, it does go back to the construction manager. They can renegotiate it. They can pay it. They can tell the subcontractor they have to eat it. Technically it's true, Rich, but it does. Yep. But it also does allow the construction manager to take it out of their contingency.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like the other one, the issue with the grills, you know, I would say that was the subcontractor's problem, you know. I don't see where the Rizzo should be responsible for that.
Agreed.
I would hope so.
Ultimately, it comes out of our pocket.
Yes, it does.
One way or the other.
Yep.
Okay, so thanks for the clarification there, Rich. Again, that what Rich is saying, it doesn't necessarily mean it automatically comes out of construction contingency. It just puts it back on the construction manager to deal with it. So we were voting, but let's finish voting. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, done with that one. On to the next one.
PCO 45 is to provide the light and the power and the circuitry at the elevator. We had the same issue come up at Rockwell, which you did approve. Again, The basis of design elevator did not require a separate light fixture circuit and GFI outlet, but the Otis elevator that was selected to be part of the project does require, the manufacturer requires this addition. So we are recommending that you approve it. The cost is $7,869.78. If you look at that compared to the Rockwell elevator, you will see that that is a higher change order, but it has to do with the circumstances at Johnson and the fact that at the time this work was done, we were trying to bring that elevator online for March in order to move furniture up. And a lot of the rough and electrical work on the second floor had not been done yet. So it required a separate circuit and some temporary work.
Did that circuit come off the first floor panel because the second floor wasn't done?
I don't have those details. I don't know.
Okay, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's just, I mean, $7,800 is a ton of money to run a 20 amp circuit. Like, I do this for a living. It's like $1,600-1,800 to run something. Now, it depends on what it is. Is it all in conduit? Is it explosion proof? All that stuff, which I don't know, but that's a lot
Class
of
1
money.
Division 1.
I'm sorry?
It's Class 1 Division 1.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a little bit of extra money with that.
But that also takes into consideration the fixtures and all that too, correct?
Yeah.
The only comment I have is why didn't they know that ahead of time? I mean,
I agree, Bob. Yeah, there's always an electrical outlet and a light in an elevator shaft. I've never seen an elevator shaft, I don't care what brand elevator it is, you always had power in the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Rich, some manufacturers have that on the cab itself versus in the shaft. So
But if
the basis of design had it on the cab, and the submitted
But if
elevator
it's in the
didn't.
cab and the cab is up, you don't have power or light below the cab to work. There always should be lights below the cab in the pit area and above the elevator shaft. I've never seen an elevator without a light in it. That's my opinion.
No, I agree 100%. I'm not arguing that fact.
Well, but it's
believe,
also,
and maybe Ken and Jim can, I believe we do have pit light that's part of the contract. This is at the top of the
That's
shaft.
correct.
right.
we
So
batted this ball around before, and even all the jobs I've overseen, they've always put a circuit in, and even if you don't use it, they just box it and cover it. But as Rich was saying, they always have something in there, whether it's a service outlet or it's a 20 amp circuit just on standby for future use. That's why I'm saying, how did they not know that? Right?
Well,
We batted this ball around before.
right.
Yeah, it's gone nowhere.
If it's not there, you got to pay to do it anyway. So, but you know,
I'm gonna make a recommendation that we pay that PCO, is it 45? Get this over with.
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any more discussion on it? Any more questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed?
Me,
Bob? And who
David.
else?
David?
Bob, David,
John,
John Menti.
yes.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-3. Is that what you got, Kathy? Kath, give me a high sign or something. Yeah, okay. All right, good. Thank you. Just trying to keep track. Like I said, I can't see everybody. So that one passes 6-3.
Okay.
Okay, so then we need,
PCO
Go
40,
on.
so PCO 48, when they were doing demolition in the front office area of the admin suite, pulled up carpet and discovered asbestos, VAT, vinyl asbestos tile and mastic under a portion of that floor. In the abatement drawings, there was a plan with a specific note and an arrow to this room saying no tile under carpet, which turned out to not be true. And the abatement contractor had been out of there for months at that point because their work pretty much finished up in the fall and had to remobilize, recontain, and then abate the VAT and the mastic under the carpet. So this would go against the owner's environmental contingency, of which we still have about $99,000 at Johnson. And it is for $14,169.75. Now I'm recommending approval of this, but in all transparency, I will say that we tried pushing back on this and saying, well, just because there's one note on one drawing doesn't relieve you of the responsibility for removing all vinyl asbestos tile. That was kind of a stretch of an interpretation of the documents, but we tried, kind of pushed back on them and said, no, you have to take care of this. They actually came back with a much higher number and said, well, if you're going to be like that, you need to, we're going to use a higher containment number, and there were some unit prices in their bid that would have bumped this up many more dollars. And at the end of the day, I agreed that I would recommend this PCO for your approval in the amount of $14,169.
I'd make a motion that we approve that.
Second.
who was the second? Dave Olson? Okay. Any more discussion on this? So Geraldine, you're saying in discussion with them, this is the lower number that they
It
tried to
is.
bump it up more?
Yes, by far it's the lower number. So, I was trying to just get them to include it on everything else they were doing, but clearly they did have to remobilize, I think it's fair.
Okay. So let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
All right, PCO 56. I'm going to need help on why this happened. I don't know if Joe, you can explain. This has to do with the curtain wall at the new addition. There was supposed to be glass. There was supposed to be a window. Again, as far as I understand it, the vendor came back and said, what would you like in this area? Do you want a phenolic panel? And the team said, sure, a phenolic panel. And then a change order was presented when in my mind, it should have been whatever was originally specified in the drawings. Joe, can you fill in a little detail?
Yeah, my understanding, there was a field condition that prevented the curtain wall from being installed. And then it was suggested to infill with wall and trespa panel. I'm still not certain what that field condition was. And I'm also not certain as to why wall would cost more money than curtain wall.
So this is one of those change orders that we batted around back and forth on the construction team side, said, send it back, bring it back. It just really never was resolved to anybody's satisfaction, but we're at a point now where we just would like the building committee now to act on it. We're suggesting reject it because again, there's no clear direction from the owner that this needed to be a piece of a wall that cost more than the original glass that was specified.
I agree. I'd make a motion that we reject it.
Number
56.
56.
Second.
I'll second. Got a couple of seconds, John, me, Dave. Just a question in situations like this, Geraldine, where we reject it, does that kind of push them to look at it again sometimes I don't remember discussing this at any point.
I would hope so. I mean, it at least takes action on the owner's part. You are not going to authorize owner money to pay for this. So it sort of takes it off the books, right? Now, the construction manager can go back and either negotiate a different, what tends to happen, and what has happened before even on this job, is that Rizzo will go back and negotiate a lower number, you know, and then perhaps it comes out of contingency. So everybody takes a piece of the responsibility.
Okay.
What was the dollar amount?
$2,982.24.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
All in favor of rejecting?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that carries.
So PCO 60, one might have a different opinion than mine, but I will give you mine. So during the early weeks of the COVID pandemic, the concrete subcontractor left the job because their crews were under quarantine, not because anybody on our crew, you know, caught it, but because they were associating with other crews. And anyway, so the concrete contractor sort of went off the job for a little bit because their crews were in quarantine. This required a pause in the plumbing installation above rough ends above the gym. So when the concrete finally was poured and the plumber could come back, they needed to remobilize and with their scissor lift. So they're proposing a change order in the amount of $2,924.21, which I do not dispute that there was a remobilization and a new rental charge on that equipment. My opinion, though, is that that is not the owner's problem. That remobilization of subcontractors, and I have to say, regardless of the cause, would be something that the construction manager would normally cover out of their contingency. So I'm, again, recommending rejection of this, not because I don't think the subcontractor needs to be paid, but because I don't think it's the owner's problem.
Right, that could have been from anything of a rain delay or anything
Correct.
else. Just happened to be COVID in our case. I agree with Carolyn.
Wasn't there some discussion about anything related to COVID might be reimbursed by the state?
So under the school grant that we have, we are welcome to include change orders having to do with COVID. They are not going to automatically, you know, discount them. If changes due to COVID were to bump our budget above their allowable, we'd have to have a discussion. And I have had a discussion with Tom Galliford because the town is receiving some, probably FEMA money, I'm not really sure, to cover some of the additional costs the town is incurring, you know, due to COVID. So if we have the opportunity to piggyback some of the town's effort to recover money, we'll provide, we're going to work with Tom and provide him with our numbers. I don't know which pot of money it'll end up coming out of.
Okay. So is that something you want to table for a while, or you want to get this off the?
First of all, I would like to get it off. Second of all, this would be a stretch, I think, to get out of other money. The cleaning, you know, the additional cleaning that we have to do and some of those other things are more directly related to COVID that would be more appropriate to cover from some of these other funds.
Right.
All right, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
And I think you have to expend the money to get reimbursed for it. Hence the reimbursement part. So where are we with this?
PCO 60. Recommending.
So I make a motion that we reject PCO 60 for Johnson School, the amount of $2,924.21.
Second it.
Dave seconds. Any other discussion on it? We're done with the discussion. We do things backwards. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed? Checking through. Everybody's awake still. Good. Except for all of you that have your cameras off. And
right.
then one more for
more.
Johnson.
Yep, one more for Johnson. So we had earlier had a change order for the additional COVID cleaning for April, May, and June. Kind of hoping that things might calm down after that, but they have not. And we are going to continue to contract with the cleaning company to provide the additional COVID cleaning. And this is the change order for July and August. They had provided us, you'll see, and you would see if you looked at the change order, they have a per cleaning occurrence cost. It's based on the number of people on the crew and the fact that they spend 4 hours. They are wiping down handheld surfaces, you know, door handles, handrails, anything that workers might be touching. We're getting an extra 2 cleanings a week. And this is slightly lower than the change order we had for the previous 3 months because of things like scaffolding being taken down that no longer needs to be cleaned as well. So this is a COVID cleaning change order in the amount of $12,718.13. Recommended to approve.
So I make a motion that we approve PCO 65 in the amount $12,718.13 for cleaning for July and August. I think it was Roy who said second.
Okay.
Any other questions, etc.? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Anybody opposed? I'm taking a quick run through here. Looks like everybody's good. Done. So that's just Johnson. We have some for Rockwell, I guess.
We do. But before I move off of the PCO log, I just want to point out that even with all of these additional PCOs, our PCO total for Johnson is still only 1.28%. So kudos to the team for keeping that number of change orders down.
Good job.
All right. Rockwell.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, too much maybe. Rockwell. All right, Rockwell. First one we want to talk about is PCO 24. In Rockwell, there are radiant ceiling panels on the perimeter of all of the rooms above the windows. A while back when plumbing and HVAC trades were being coordinated, we had the addition of some floor to ceiling piping that were enclosed with chases. And this changed the configuration of the radiant panels. They needed to be modified in the field to abut now these built out chases in the corners of the room. So this is totally labor for the trade to make those adjustments, modify each panel in the field, had to be hand cut, hand fit. It's in the amount of $2,024.21, and we are recommending this be approved.
So I make a motion that we approve change order 24 for Rockwell School in the amount of $2,024.21.
Approve. Second it.
Dave seconds. David Horvath, I believe that was.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done.
Okay, PCO 34 is another one of these substitute diffusers at the gym. The trade suggested a different size diffuser, which required the engineer to add an additional diffuser, and they're asking for more money for that. In this case, it's only $638.78, but much like at Johnson, my opinion is that this should be rejected because the trades should be either announcing that it's going to cost more money or not suggesting a substitution that costs the owner more money.
I agree. I'd make that motion that we reject it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Done.
All right, PCO 35. This is another one that involved a lot of discussion on the design and construction team side. And again, if I know I'm kind of rolling through these, but if at any point, Ken, you want to jump in and make a plea, please do, because some of these, you know, the building committee might benefit from hearing another opinion. So on this one, when we were abating the electrical system, this is from way back in November. So on one hand, I think we need to reject it because it's long past the 6-month deadline. But the electrical system had to be shut down, and in order for that to happen, the HVAC contractor had to be on site to assist with the boiler shutdown and startup. Even if this were not past the 6-month deadline, my recommendation would be to reject it because shutdowns to facilitate other trade work, I believe, are the responsibility of the construction manager. Again, regardless of the cause, this was caused by abatement work that had to happen, but it's all about construction manager scheduling and coordination of the trades being on site. But in any case, it's old, so I
So
recommend.
how would we have known to put this in the schedule if it was unforeseen and it came up all of a sudden? This came up when they tested the electrical room slab paint, and we were going to take out the slab as regular demo, and then all of a sudden we couldn't because school was in session, so we have to set up containments during the weekend. And during the weekend, we obviously that weekend in particular, the temperatures happened to be in the 20s, and we couldn't chance not having the boiler turn on. And it wasn't just you know, turn on this switch or that switch. He had a whole procedure that he had to go through because he was still running temporary heat because we were, you know, in the midst of demolition. So I just don't know how anybody could have factored this in at any time. And that's my argument, is that if we knew about it, we would have, but nobody knew about it.
Yeah, and Geraldine, I support that only because the electrical front end of that boiler was not really established at that point. So it had to be gently shut down. Someone of that trade had to be there.
Sure. And again, I will say that I would not dispute that service was required. My only comment is that it's the type of coordination that should be covered by the construction contingency and not by the owner's costs. But that's why we're bringing these things to the building committee, so that you have all the information, can make a decision.
Well, that, and also why is it coming up now and not 4 months ago?
Well, that would be my question too. If the 6-month time frame, if we knew a year ago that 6-month time frame for change orders was crucial, especially for us to get reimbursement, why wasn't this brought up or brought forward or pushed by Ken and your team to get it before us sooner?
The only thing I could say is I think it fell through the cracks. The contractor didn't get the proposal to us in a timely fashion.
Okay.
Lynn, what's the dollar amount? I'm sorry, I can't see your numbers on the screen.
That's okay. It's $1,489.34. So I'm going to make a motion.
We
Right.
pay it.
I'll make a motion that we approve change order 35 in the amount of $1,489.34.
I'll second it.
So John Perna seconded it. We can discuss it. So I think we have, at least what I'm hearing right now, the pros and cons of yes, it needed to be done. And I don't think any of us are disputing that. I'm thinking more of the time frame where, and early on, we talked about the need to have change orders, especially when a few of them, the one from last summer that required, it was the portables and the transformer and all that stuff that didn't get brought to us right away. We end up losing reimbursement on stuff like that. Yes, it's only $1,400, but
And that just brings a concern to me of how many more of these are out there that we don't know about. And I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not pointing blame. I'm just saying, you know,
It's a good question to ask.
is there other, you know, is there something we're going to get blindsided with in 4 months when we're trying to wrap everything up and pay everything off? Is there going to, oh, wait, I forgot this $12,000 bill, you know, from August of 2019. Well,
And we're not going to get reimbursed for it.
right.
Yeah.
So I get this, you know, this is a negligible amount. It's not much at all, but is there any other things out there that might bite us in the ass come 4 or 5 months from now? And I know nobody can answer that question. I'm just putting it out there. That's all.
The only thing else,
Also,
the only
one
thing
reason why
else,
we're bringing so many of these to you today is because some of these have been sitting for a while without really any action. So, you know, let's act on them or not.
You know, and I trust you, Geraldine. I mean, you know, you've always been upfront and honest, so you know, I understand that. But it's just, to me, it's you own a company. You know, even though it's only $1,400, you want to get paid for it sooner than later. So
Yes.
And then Ken, what were you going to say?
I was gonna just point out to David, some of the loudest complainers are the worst paperwork subcontractors. That's just the reality of it.
And that's why a lot of people in the state hate me, because I don't pay them when I do that.
Well, and that's probably true. It's like, that's, to me, so always the least part of, or least favorite part. I'd rather do the work than write about it and put it on paper.
If you're running a company, that's the whole reason you're doing your own company, is to make money.
I understand that. I understand that. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, like, I think any of us who, especially if you've done your own work, you're really good at the work you do and not so good at the paperwork. So running a business isn't always as easy as doing the work. And I'm not saying this in favor of or against a change order. I just understand it. Yet, as David said, and Ken and Jim, I think we want to point this out again to you guys. You know, getting the paperwork, dragging the paperwork out of them, kicking and screaming is going to continue to be important. So the motion on the floor is to approve that change order, the boiler shutdown.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I think maybe we already had a second. If we didn't, then that was David, I think.
Yep.
Does anybody else need to jump in and have any comment on this? Can we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Is anybody opposed? Okay.
Nancy,
Yeah, Rich?
could I make a suggestion that either Rizzo or Geraldine send out a memo and saying,
Oh, you're froze there, Rich.
I bet I know what you're going to say. Send out a memo, look through your paperwork. If there's anything outstanding, get it in before the end of next month, or you're not getting paid.
I believe that the guys at Rizzo have been doing that, have been continually reminding the subs.
okay.
So, and we'll ask them to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So I think I saw, because I was scrolling through here, did I see Dave Olson? Were you a no or a?
I was a no, and I was a no because I think people need to pay attention to the dates.
Okay,
You don't get reimbursed for this now
right,
because people were sloppy.
right. Okay, and I'm a no also for the same reason. Not that we need to explain, but we've talked about this whole paperwork thing for months and months and months and a year. So you got that, Kath? Gotta find, yeah, she's smiling, so that must mean she has it. All right,
All right.
moving on.
So
Maybe we'll
PCO
finish by
yeah.
midnight.
PCO 36. I'm going to need help from Joe on this one as well. So apparently, in the gym, the wall between sort of the gym and the platform, there was ductwork that would have been that couldn't be hung because the curtain, the stage curtain, in its open position, you needed that space. So the design team proposed transfer grills in the alternative And I think the opinion from the architects in reviewing this PCO, even though it's only for $566.27, their opinion was that there were additional credits that should have been included for eliminated ductwork. Joe, can you speak to that?
That's exactly correct.
Well, I was paying.
No, the duct was eliminated from the platform running back into the gym to a certain extent. All the registers that were in that ductwork were removed as well. And then a transfer grill was put in between the platform and the gym. And I believe the PCO did not indicate any of the credits for the eliminated ductwork or other grills that would have been eliminated as part of that work.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we reject change order 36 for Rockwell in the amount of $566.27.
Second that.
Second from Roy. Any more discussion on that or any input from Joe, additional input from Joe or Ken or Jim? We're gonna vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Got everybody. Is anybody opposed? They're either sleeping or watching TV. All right, that motion carries. Let us move on to the next one.
So PCO 37 and 38 both have to do with additional drafting charges associated with coordination drawings. So on PCO 37, apparently roof penetrations were resized to avoid conflicting with existing steel. And the, let me think. These are both Actionair, I believe. These are both HVAC contractor. Wants additional money to redraw changes having to do with coordination. So the roof penetration drafting is in the amount of $2,067.19. Similarly, they needed to redraw coordination drawings based on the coordination of HVAC equipment with the kitchen hood location in the amount of $1,653.75. On both of these, I'm not in favor of paying additional money for coordination and drafting. That should be absorbed by those trades. But I guess I don't recall now, and maybe Joe or Ken, I don't know, somebody can weigh in on the timing of this coordination work and the redrafting. I think, Joe, in one case, at least in one case, you were questioning why we were redrawing when coordination hadn't been completed yet, when the changes were made.
I believe that's certainly true for PCO 38 with the kitchen hood.
No beams?
But what about 37?
37. Duct size due to existing. Don't really recall that one.
And I guess the principle is, is the owner responsible to pay for redrawing documents that were developed during trade coordination? I guess that's where I'm stuck, is why this is not, again, not that somebody isn't owed money to redraw. I'm not even evaluating that, but I don't believe it's the owner that has to pay the money to redraw or to draw coordination drawings. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, it comes down to that again. It seems like in certain things, there's been a lack of coordination on a lot of different things. And I agree with what Geraldine's saying. I don't see how that's up to us.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion then so we can do something with it, either discuss it further or vote, that we reject change order number 37 in the amount of $2,067.19. Dave Olson has a second. So is there any more discussion or input? And again, it can come from anybody on the team.
So PCO 37 was in reference to a DTC bulletin number 2, which includes sketches. So that they had to go back and rework the steel model to reflect the changes in sketches. So they basically had to do work twice when the contract model did not show what the change did. So that was the reason for 37. It wasn't necessarily that they couldn't coordinate. They did coordinate, and they had to go back and re-coordinate.
That was found from an existing condition they found in the field. Is that correct? Once things were opened up.
There was a couple of those, and that was the later one. This was an earlier one. Well,
So now it's going to come down. So just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
how did this take place?
yeah, it wasn't in June. So it was the one for the art rooms.
In June, like last month, June?
Correct.
So it's still
Had to
within a
be,
6-month time frame of being reimbursed. And David, what was your comment? David Horvath?
I don't know. I don't see how that should fall onto us. That's in work in progress. You know, certain things come up, you have to redraw them. It's just part of the deal, I guess, in my mind, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so let's take a vote then. We're voting to reject. All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody, I'm scrolling through, looking at everybody waving at me or not. And is anybody against the rejection? Okay.
I am, Gil.
Oh, Gil, okay. Got that, Kath? Then, so I'll make a motion that we reject change order 38. Again, revision to coordination drawings in the amount of $1,653.75.
Second.
Second from who? Dave Olson. Any other comments or input on this? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And anybody opposed? Again, if you're raising your hand to be opposed, I'm trying to see everybody, but it takes me a little while to do that. So if you're opposed and I didn't call out your name, say something. Okay, done. Next one, 39.
39 and 40. So PCOs 39 and 40 were originally presented, one to abate the tar paper under the gym floor, under the wood floor in the gym, and 40 was to abate the mastic that was holding down the tar paper. We've gone back and forth on both of these. These 39 and 40 together originally totaled about $67,000. And we went back and asked, asked them, first of all, to combine into a single change order, which didn't really happen, but we're dealing with them as a single cost center. We went back and verified Enviromed's records during monitoring of how much time was spent on this work. We went back and negotiated not only some labor quantities, but some other costs. At the end of the day, there's documentation for this on the shared drive to back all this up, but the final number that NYREM came back with was $53,523.75. This is not, I don't think that this change order has been totally settled, but that was their last offer, and I would like to accept it and close this change order out. There was the original abatement information in the documents specifically stated that the bid should include 1,500 square feet of tar paper, of felt paper abatement. it turned out that the gym was 3,000 square feet. So there was additional felt paper to be abated and then all the mastic to be removed. There was additional containment, I think, that had to go up. And then this resulted in some grinding down of the slab and, and PCB removal and all that kind of stuff. But I am recommending that you approve this combined PCO 39 and 40 in the amount of $53,523.75.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Dave seconds it. And you're saying, Geraldine, that this is, it's obviously a lower number than what they were originally talking about.
Yes, this has gone under a lot of discussion, negotiation. We pushed a lower number that was probably about 42,000, but this is what we arrived at, 53,523. I think it can be supported. And as I said, there's full documentation available.
And that should be the end of the gym floor fiasco that we didn't know about.
So that's the end of the gym floor, other than the fact that this is the abatement of the material.
Right.
In addition to that, is some subsequent grinding of concrete in 3 or 4 areas in order to address the residual PCOs.
Okay, thank you, Geraldine.
Any other questions or comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Got everybody? Anybody opposed? Done.
Now, PCO 41, I really like, because when it was originally, so this is the PCB overspray, the paint overspray on the first floor ductwork. As you might recall, last fall, we did a change order on the second floor ductwork. Then when they got down to the first floor, they assumed that there would be a similar amount of PCB spray paint left over on ductwork. This PCO was originally presented in the amount of $31,000. And when they went back and looked at it on a time and material basis and included all the credits from the HVAC contractor, who then didn't have to demo the ductwork because it was the abatement contractor, we ended up at a $2,728.62 change order. So that is exceptional work by the construction team to monitor that on a time and material basis and get us a better price on this change order. So of course,
I'll make a motion, we approve change order 41 in the amount of $2,728.62.
I'll second it.
Any more
Run
discussion?
with this, baby.
Good work, guys.
Yeah.
Good work. Thanks. Any other discussion on that? Thanks for keeping on top of that. All right, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Okay, done.
all right, PCO 46 is the rerouting of the electrical feeders at Rockwell. So similar to the $125,000 change order at Johnson, this one at Rockwell only is going to cost us $23,770.16. So again, much like the other one, I think that this one is also part of that discussion with Ferguson to negotiate an even better price. And even if it's better on the higher one, we'll include this one in the same discussion. So just to let you know, I guess what I'd like, you tabled the one for Johnson originally. I don't know if you want to table this or just let it sit out there until Rizzo has a chance to have another chat with Ferguson.
So if we table things too much and it goes past the 6-month time frame, we don't get reimbursed for it, but it doesn't matter whether it came out of the owner's contingency or the construction contingency. Right? No? Yes?
What was it? What was the, I know, I remember Johnson. I don't remember what this one was. Maybe I wasn't part of the team at that point.
So again, they say that in their bid, they assumed they were going to run all their feeders down the corridor, above the ceiling of the corridor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No room. So we pulled them back into they went through all the intervening walls in the classrooms on one side of the corridor.
That's what me and Joe saw last week or whenever we did the look. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think it needs a tabling. I think it just maybe don't act on it and wait for this next conversation that Rizzo has with Ferguson in order to bring both of these, hopefully both of the two PCOs a little lower.
Has that conversation started to happen yet? Have they worked on it? Have we worked on it?
I think, Jim, the conversation has sort of started, but no real work on it.
Yeah, I didn't want to move too far down this road without, reviewing it with Geraldine and her having a chance to review it with you.
Yeah. So we're mostly just putting them on notice that we're going to talk about this a little bit more with the subcontractor.
Okay.
But I wanted you to be aware of what the cost, set it out there. So PCO 52, when we rebuilt the bump outs at the media center at Rockwell, rebuilt those exterior walls due to the deteriorating condition of the existing walls. The change order for that work did not include the AVB, the applied vapor barrier on those walls. So now we're coming back with that contractor asking us to pay $1,394.35 for that portion of the wall, and we recommend that you approve this.
And it was in between the bump outs, and it was thought that there wasn't a problem there. But then when the phenolic panels were getting ready to install, he made it a point that the panels that are going on aren't waterproof. They're just there for show, and you need to have the system that's behind it waterproof. So that was where this one came in.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve change order 52 for Rockwell School
I'll second that.
in the amount of $1,394.35. Roy seconds.
Yep.
So that's all being taken care of, and that whole repairing that bump out and making it both structurally sound and watertight.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments on this one?
I have a question, but it's not on that one, but it's about that subject. Ken, how are they going to insulate that bottom?
There's rigid installation on the sketch.
Oh, okay.
And then there is some bad insulation too.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, anything else on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Look at everybody, they all look pretty. Motion carries, and we'll move on to the next one.
So PCO 53 is where we start to pay for the slab removal due to PCB paint or residual PCB mastic throughout a number of areas of Rockwell. The abatement contractor has broken the PCO up, or broken the cost up into separate PCOs kind of on a monthly basis. And now I'm looking at this thinking, I did not go back and look and see where they were removing the slab in April and May. I don't know if you know, Ken, what areas this one covers. I can go back and look at the PCO, but it's really hard to do when I'm sharing my screen. But anyways, PCO 53 is for all of the slab removal that was done in April and May. It's on a time and material basis. It's backed up with tickets for the labor and then an accounting of the materials they needed for protection. This PCO is in the amount of $34,359.41. And I'm going to guess that this, well, I shouldn't guess. Ken, do you know what area this?
Mostly the gym because that's where they were allowed to start first. And then they went into the cafeteria. There were spots in the cafeteria, and then they did the new nurses area. Did spots in the existing nurse area. So I think that's what these 2 months would have covered.
And I will just say that we are not asking for an approval because they just came in, but at the very bottom of this chart, 59 and 60, we have slab removal in May and June, and then slab removal on other dates in June and July. So you'll see that those are even larger numbers, 50,000, 59,000, combined with this 34,000 is where we are getting this huge balance on abatement costs. And as you will recall, we went to removing the slabs instead of grinding, retesting, and grinding in order to keep the project on schedule, which is, I think, the most important part of this additional cost is we were not so much trying to be cost effective as being schedule effective, and not waste the time of the retesting and the regrinding.
And I think in some cases, it probably was more cost effective, maybe not just for the abatement part, but for like keeping on schedule, but then the cost of all the other subs that may have been waiting, et cetera, going forward. So are we still working out numbers with these? Is that what you're saying, Carolyn?
No, these were all done on a T&M basis. So the PCOs have attached to them all of the tickets for, 4 guys this day and 6 guys that day, 8 hours here, 2 hours for foreman. So you can see all of the backup on the labor it took to actually remove, remove all these slabs, haul them out, haul it out as hazardous material and dispose of it. Run the negative air machines, do the containment. All of this was done under abatement conditions.
I do have an estimate for the concrete. Since we've been getting the tickets, I've totaled up some of the tickets, and then I'm right now we're right around 50,000, and that doesn't include the receiving area or the administration area. So that's the replacement concrete is that. A lot of it is the prep they have to dowel into all the sides of every one of these patches. Mm-hmm. The whole, the wire, everything included.
So, and I see, Geraldine, that you're saying coming out of owner's environmental contingency, yet that's down to 0 now.
That's correct. So it's really coming out of the regular contingency, but we will continue to track all of the environmental change orders together. And so I'll show you that when we're done here.
Because we have to continue to kind of keep those all together so that if we go to the state and say,
correct,
then we've got it all in one place. All right, so can we do these all at once, or do we have to do them one at a time?
Well, I only want to do 53. We just got the other 2, and I need to go back and actually look at that documentation and match up the hours and stuff. So it's just this one right now for April and May, worked on in April and May.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve change order 53 for Rockwell School slab removal for PCB abatement in the amount of $34,359.41. Second, Dave Olson. So do we need any more explanation or questions, or have we done enough of that for now? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And opposed, does anybody oppose? Kathy, Dino dropped off, so I don't know if that makes a difference with you keeping your numbers. So the other 2, 54 and 55, Geraldine's looking into more.
No, the other 59, 56. So 54, I do want to bring up. So in the gym and the cafeteria, I think I had a picture in my report. Things were taken off the walls. probably acoustic pads or other things. You know, spots of asbestos-containing glue were found over like every wall surface in the gym and a bunch of them in the cafeteria. So this is the abatement of all of those ACM glue daubs. And again, it would be owner environmental, but owner contingency, and again, backed up by time and material tickets and material costs for containment, equipment, protection. This is in the amount of $26,063.10. Again, recommending approval.
So I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Dave seconds. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done.
All right, PCO 55, during construction of the media center, second floor media center, they discovered an unsupported or at least a unstable CMU wall. I don't know if, Ken, if you can explain a little bit more what this was, because I didn't ever really see it. But it needed to either be supported or come out and be replaced. You know, so CMUs were taken, a CMU wall was demolished and a new frame wall was replaced. And maybe you or maybe Joe can explain a little bit better.
Right up in the media center, there's a steel beam that had a couple courses of 4-inch CMU on it. And what it was is it's where the roof steps down. So it was basically just a a different elevation change in the roof. So they added on to that steel beam, which is inside the media center. So when we were doing roof removals, it was noticed that the block was loose, and actually a piece of the block did fall down. So in looking at what happened, you could see that none of the block was ever attached to the beam. Like a lot of cases when they do that type of work, they'll weld rebar or something on the beams to hold block if they have to do it. But there was nothing. This block is just up there, and so it was looked at by Joe, and it was decided that we would take it down and put a stud wall up in its place, which will be secure, and it'll be a lot safer condition if in the future this block ever, rather than patch the wall and possibly ever have something happen there.
Okay, so I remember we talked about this, I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of as part of one of the construction updates a couple months ago. So I'll make a motion that we approve change order 55 for Rockwell School, replacing the CMU wall above the media center in the amount of $5,862.95.
Second.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Joe Kaluta, is that the one you and I were looking at when we walked through?
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
So there's another one.
The one we looked at was at the music room, I believe.
Yeah, next to the bathroom, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a different condition.
Okay. But there's another one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the one we recommended that remain existing.
Okay. Thank you.
So Geraldine, in the report, it says that the CMU to be tracked on TNM. I just want to note that it's going to be the demo. We're going to track the demo on TNM because the demolition's not included in
Yeah,
this.
my note does here say that it does not include demo, which will be billed on a TNM
Okay.
basis. I may have,
Okay.
maybe I misinterpreted that someplace else, but yes, there will be an
Okay.
additional cost for the actual demolition of the CMUs, which we did not have at the time of this.
So this change order is for the construction of the wall to hold up the beam, but not the demolition?
It's the removal of the ceiling, the replacement of some ceiling tiles that were damaged when the CMU originally fell out, and the rebuilding of the wall.
But there's a different contractor for the demo part, so that's got to get a different change order.
Yeah.
Okay. So I made the motion, somebody seconded it. People are asking questions, we're discussing it. Anything more on this one?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And anybody opposed?
All right.
Go ahead.
PCO 56, an eye wash is required in the kitchen. On the drawings, it was not shown on the plumbing schedule, so the plumber did not assume it was within his scope of work. It was instead shown on the kitchen equipment schedule, and the kitchen equipment firm definitely, in their bid said that that was work by others, so it fell through the cracks. And we need an eye wash in the kitchen. So it's $1,883.86. Eye wash, plumbing, mixing valve.
Make a motion that we approve that change order 56.
I'll second it.
Somebody seconded it. Any more discussion? Yeah, it was omitted, but we're responsible for it, so
Yep.
we're paying for it.
One of those.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? If you're waving your hands around opposing, I can't see you, so you gotta yell. Done. What?
I was going to say, I disagree that it's an omission. It was not called out on the plumbing schedule, but it was shown on the plumbing documents in the plan and in the riser diagram. So I still disagree that this is a document omission.
Okay, then.
But
It doesn't really, well, it said it was omitted from the bid, not from from your documents.
okay, so bid omission would be a better description than Jarlin.
Yeah, well, I only have so many in my drop-down menu, and I'm not.
Oh, okay.
So.
Just wanted to get that out there for the record. I know it's a small
Noted, yes.
PCO, but
Distinction noted that you did include it someplace in the drawings, but not
yes.
where the plumbing contractor could find it. Okay. All right, the final PCO 58 is again for COVID cleaning, additional COVID cleaning for the months of July and August. At Rockwell, we have fewer surfaces, so the amount is a little lower, $10,710, and recommend approval. And I think after August, it's going to be on the school to do all cleaning, so.
Until October, and we're back out again.
No, we're gonna stay in.
No, Thanksgiving, Bob. Let's get through the election until Thanksgiving.
Oh,
right.
God. Don't even go down that road.
Wear your damn masks. All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve change order 58 for Rockwell School for COVID cleaning, the amount of $710.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Done.
So I just gotta ask,
And
can I
again,
ask a quick question, Geraldine?
yeah.
Yep.
With the cleaning, just out of curiosity, because I have to do this with my company. Are you guys using Oxivir wipes, or what are you guys using to do the cleaning? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, it is Oxivir.
Okay. I purchased like 150 cases of that stuff in the past couple of weeks. Like I have literally spent over $150,000 on Oxivir wipes for 750,000 square feet of office space.
Well, my experience in the municipal center is whenever I either open a doorknob or go up or down the stairs and touch the railing, it feels like it's got 3 inches of goo on it. So, I mean, they there's a team that goes through the municipal center several times a day, cleaning all doorknobs and regularly touch surfaces, etc. And it just leaves behind.
Oxivir shouldn't leave behind a goo.
Well, maybe they're not using that. Maybe they're using, I'll have to suggest to the powers that be over there.
Yeah.
something different. So,
Cheers.
so we're done with change orders.
We are done with change orders. Just before we move off of here, I want to say that even with the extraordinary abatement costs that we've had here, we are still under 2% on approved change orders at Rockwell. So I think that that's kudos to the team for paying attention, diligently examining all of them, and to Rizzo for pushing back as much as possible on the subcontractors. So.
Which is great, because again, that paperwork part is a pain in the ass.
Absolutely.
So I would like to make a suggestion, as we are rapidly approaching 10 o'clock.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Some of us have to get up and go to work in the morning. That we do the invoices and application for payment.
Sure.
And that proposal for site work, is that something that's like really time sensitive? We had a special meeting next week. Or do we need to really jump into that?
So the proposal for the site work at Johnson, it is to do, obviously, we want Malona McBroom to do a new survey and to do some planning for what to do with the dirt pile. So I think it's, I guess I don't know if it can wait 2 weeks for an approval and then it takes them a couple of weeks to do the work. Are we still within the time to do the planning work? Are we still within the time frame where we can get that either reviewed administratively by Beth or, go before planning and zoning before that dirt has to move before school starts?
Nancy, I can answer some of that question.
Okay, Rich, go ahead.
I talked to Beth Cavagna. The original alternate 8 was never approved by planning and zoning. So even if you accepted the alternate 8 as is right now, it would have to get a planning and zoning approval. The other thing is, so if you could tentatively approve this requisition to have Malone and McBroom start that work. I've been trying to get a hold of Eileen Earl, but she's been on vacation. She's supposed to be back tomorrow. And Roy and I were out there, and I had a meeting with Beth out there. And she really doesn't want to go any further north with the fields, but maybe to the east. So there was going to be a discussion with Eileen Earl when she came back tomorrow, hopefully. But I would like to have that team on board so we can start this planning, especially if we have to go back to planning and zoning for approvals. Now, we are over 100 feet from the wetlands, so we don't need wetlands approval, just planning and zoning approval.
So filling in or raising up the softball field is out of the question totally?
Yeah, it seems to work out better, John, just to go to lose the material there. I think we had, I had the number there, 3,500, 4,000 yards on the north side because there's an embankment there. And, we really want to review it with Eileen and see which way she wants to go based upon best recommendations, possibly to the east, without disturbing the entire field.
Right.
So
John, it's not
we could actually add to.
John.
What's that?
It's not the best soil. It's not the best soil to raise the field with.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, John, it's a mixture of materials. And I think if we're talking about raising a field, you really have to have more of an engineered material.
Right. Okay. No, I know it was mentioned and I wasn't sure how the outcome was going to come out of that. That's all.
Yeah, we're just kind of using this for fill. It's kind of a topsoily debris type mix.
Right.
So we're kind of looking for a tentative, okay, to proceed with this. To wait another 2 weeks to get started on it, then, the planning and review of it is going to take another month.
I was suggesting next week, but a question I have on the proposed fees. Regulatory approvals are those required, or does that mean if required? Do we know?
If required.
Oh, I think that means if required, yeah.
If required, sorry about that.
If-
So we don't know if those are actually required or not.
Or to what extent,
Yes,
part of it.
yes, they are going to be required because you don't have any approval to do anything out there right now.
Right. And then that could also go higher than what it is right now. You're just guessing, correct?
Right.
So this is not an amount to amount not to exceed. This is a guess.
Let me, hold on, let me check.
So while you're checking, my question is,
It says
I know,
fixed price on it.
No, stipulated fee, fixed fee.
Right, yeah, I think it's fixed.
Okay,
That's
Wow.
correct, Joe.
okay.
and this
Just
is
wanna-
from,
Unless we change the scope, probably.
Well, with the exception, even the reimbursable expenses are capped at 500.
Right. Yeah, it's for any printing that might need to occur if we have to go to planning and zoning and travel and all that.
You know, talking to planning and zoning, they said they would work with us. They don't know why that alternate was deleted in the original approval set of plans, but it is.
I'm not sure if we had it when we went to P and Z, maybe, if it wasn't part of the P and Z approval.
Yeah.
It might have occurred after.
Well,
I don't
was
really
on
remember the
same-
timing of it all.
It was May 15th was when all the other plans were approved or something. And that
Mhm.
was in the packet, but it wasn't approved, so.
Hey, Joe?
Yes.
Hey, Joe?
Yes.
Just a minor update on Malone and McBroom's proposal on the work. I wanted them to include on the task too that they're going to look at. It says that they're going to look at the area of the field on the north. I also want it on the east side too. So it identifies both areas.
Okay, north and east.
And east. And then one other just small modification.
That's for the same play field, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It's the same area, but it only identifies the north, okay? And what
Okay.
Eileen might be looking for and Beth might be to the east.
Okay.
And then also there's one further change I'd like to see with the minor expansion of the field, and it's utilizing the existing fill/topsoil on site.
Okay.
The only reason we're doing this is to get rid of material that's there.
Okay.
So they have to measure the pile, make sure that the
Yeah, I
pile,
think it's-
the yardage fits from one area to the other.
Yeah, it says in that task 2, actually, Jeremy,
Yep.
go back down. It says, it is our understanding that town of Bethel is looking to utilize excess fill material generated from the project to further expand the
Yep.
field. Is that
Yeah.
good?
I
Or
think it's generally okay, Joe, but I just
Okay.
want it to be as specific as possible.
right? So grass field north of the
Yeah,
existing
north
school.
and east.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
so what are we looking to do here? Are we looking to approve this? Are we looking to approve it based
I'd make a
on?
motion. Yeah, I'd make a motion that we approve it not to exceed, and it's also based upon, pending recommendations from Park and Recs. Just make sure that we get their approval on it to
Okay.
proceed forward.
Is that your motion?
That would be my motion.
Okay.
Second,
What was,
Second.
I need to know the amount, not to exceed what?
Well, it's 14,875. That's for Perkins and Eastman. And Malone and McBroom, the total there is 9,660.
660?
650.
No,
650?
Actually, Roy,
50.
that it's 14,875 combined. That's for both Malone and McBroom's time and our time.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, and
no,
the
let's see.
contract is with Perkins Eastman for the 14,875.
It's all
Correct.
one- Gotcha.
I just included Malone and McBroom's proposal as backup, so you could see where the numbers were coming from.
Okay,
Got it.
14,875 to Perkins Eastman, basically.
Right.
Yep, good.
That's better. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Who seconded?
Dave Olson, I
Okay.
believe. So any more questions, discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
And
All right.
are we deferring the cost of the Rockwell fence revisions then to a later date or what?
I have a question on that also.
Okay.
Nancy?
Yeah, go ahead.
The proposal from Malone and McBroom was what, 1995? I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of. I think that's a lot of money just to change something on a drawing. They're just replacing the split rail fence with the chain link fence. It seems like an exorbitant amount of money. And my other recommendation would to make it a 4-foot high fence rather than a 5-foot high fence.
I agree with that with Richie.
I thought we wanted a higher fence because we thought the kids were going to climb over it.
Well, that was just
Four
David's
foot high.
vision.
A 4-foot high fence is a legal fence for a pool, so, you know, I think 4 foot is high enough with it.
That was just my recommendation. I'll go with whatever Rich says. I'm fine with that.
So what do we want to do with that? Anybody?
Well, Joe, did you look at that by any
I'd like-
chance? I mean, isn't that just a drawing change? I mean, they don't have to go out and do anything. They're just replacing the split rail fence with the chain link fence.
Right. It's for revising the plan, the details, and I'm assuming review of any subsequent shop drawings or submittals.
All right. Well, if you
You
think
know,
it's fair,
I think it's probably 10 to 12 hours, which is about what that time's out at. So it's not, I don't know that it's excessive.
okay, all right.
I'd make a motion that we also proceed forward with that too.
Second.
The amount on that, Kathy, is $1,995.
5, correct.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Are we done? Yes. All right.
Okay, so you're going to provide additional information once you talk to Eileen Earl about the size and shape of the field?
Yes.
Okay.
We have to make sure she's okay with it, Joe.
Okay.
I think we got to go walk it with her, just make sure she has a comfort level, you know, in total with what we're looking at doing.
Okay. And that's going to be this week?
I think Rich said tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow, okay.
She should be back from she should be back from vacation tomorrow. She should be back from vacation tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll try to get a hold of her tomorrow.
All right.
And also I had a discussion with Dr. Carver about it too, and she's in favor of it.
Okay. All right. So, can we do like
I'm gonna say goodnight.
good night, Rich? So we got, we have to do the application for payment and a bunch of invoices. I want to do those, but I also like to see if people can be available for a special meeting either later this week or next Tuesday so that we can deal with the other couple of things that are on the agenda that we need to deal with.
I'm good for both.
Yeah, I'm good. Horvath is good.
This week is bad because we're doing all the reopening Zoom meetings with the schools.
So like next week, Tuesday night?
That's fine for me.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, that's good to know. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start with, I have to get my pile of papers so I can write okay on them and then sign them and give them to Kathy. All right, so we'll start with the two Rizzo applications for payment. And see if I can see the whole thing. I might have to get rid of everybody. All right, so I make a motion that we approve the Rizzo application for payment number 16 for Johnson School in the amount of $1,738,534.26.
Second.
Dave seconds. Any questions? There's hundreds of pages attached if you would like to read them.
Not at this hour.
Yeah.
If you're trying to fall asleep, you might want to do it.
That won't be hard.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. So then the next one. So we have a Rizzo application for payment for Rockwell School, application number 16, period to the end of June, in the amount of 1,000,000.
045.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
033, 22.
Yeah, sorry, 1,000,043.22 cents. Is that 22 cents? Yeah.
Second.
I know you can't make it any bigger. I keep trying to make it bigger on my screen because my computer does that, but it's your screen.
I know, I was trying to do the whole page, but.
No, I know, that's, then I'm missing parts of it, so it's okay. You're good. Oop. I think Kathy's got the number.
Okay.
So we had a second. Who seconded? Dave's looking at it too. Dave seconded. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Done. So IES, we're gonna buzz through the other ones.
Yes.
And the IES is only for Rockwell?
Yeah, that's all we received. That's all I received. So.
And I have the original, and so that's all I got too. So I make a motion that we approve invoice number 14937 from IES for Rockwell School, period ending May 31, 2020, in the amount of $247.
That's gonna break the bank.
You know, I can't believe they make a site visit for that much, but he was out, so.
Yeah. Well, but he did catch some things that we needed to know about, so.
Maybe he feels sorry for us.
Yeah. Okay, so all in favor, or wait, did somebody make a motion or make a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Perkins Eastman? I'm just going with my pile. You can put yours up if you want, if you're going in order with what you have there.
Okay. Where are we? It's Rockwell.
Yep, that's what I got. So I make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68961.00.0-29 for Rockwell School, period ending May 31, 2020, in the amount of $4,784.71.
I'll second it.
Got it. Bob seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Next, Rockwell FF&E, I guess.
No, that was Rockwell
Yeah, I
Construction.
know. I'm saying the next one is Rockwell FF&E.
Okay.
Unless it's easier for you to just throw them up there and then I'll match what. I make a motion that we approve invoice number for Perkins Eastman, invoice number 68961 2021.0-11. For Rockwell Schools FF&E, period ending May 31, 2020, in the amount of $125. Second,
Second.
John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. So Perkins Eastman again for Johnson. Yep. Make a motion, we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68962.00.0-29 for Johnson School, ending May 31, 2020, in the amount of $7,772.59. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, I looked at that first.
Yeah,
Yeah. It doesn't have the other stuff in it.
Reimbursables.
I think they're catching up on reimbursables from
Yes.
a bit ago. So, I got a second.
Second.
Roy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. Oh, where's that? There it is. And then may I make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68962.01.0-11 for Johnson FF&E, period ending May 31, 2020, in the amount of $7,710. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. STV. Make a motion that we approve invoice from STV, invoice number 900173334, period ending end of May 2020, in the amount of $21,986.
Second.
Bob seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And I make a motion that we approve STV invoice number 90017335, end of May 2020, in the amount of $16,541.
I was second on that.
John second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Start throwing some up there. Come on, anyone. So it's Connecticut Communications and, Frontier.
Frontier. So this actually is already, again, much like the last time, it's already been paid by the Board of Ed. So what we're going to do is a fund transfer because we needed this approval to go ahead with their planning work.
So is this part of the project coming out of the?
It is. This is for Frontier to reroute the way the cable comes into the building and to the new MER room. So.
And is it for?
Oh,
I would say that's Rockwell.
it's for, no. It's Johnson.
It's
Is
Johnson.
it? Oh, oh.
Yeah, they have to splice, I think Rockwell's already done, actually.
Okay.
Johnson, they have to reroute the way it comes into the building and do a new splice.
Yeah, one of the attached pages said relocate facilities at Johnson.
Yes.
Right, so I make a motion that we approve fund transfer from our project to Board of Ed. Is that what we have to say, that kind of stuff, or?
I don't know. You can just, I guess if you approve payment, the town will
Approve payment,
like they did last time.
yeah, for Frontier relocation at Johnson School, total amount of $8,607.39.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Two more, I think.
Yeah, three. There should be three Connecticut Communications.
Oh, I only have two.
Oh.
Oh,
Is this
good.
one
We
of
don't-
them?
Well, we'll do it and I'll find it and print it. I
Okay.
printed all the ones that I thought were part of the, unless it's attached to something else. All right, so, I make a motion that we approve Connecticut Communications invoice number 17666 TP, Rockwell School, in the amount of $1,440.
So this was work done in March to identify all the existing phone lines and which ones we needed to save and which ones they didn't need once the new system went in.
Okay. I think Roy did this, or Dave did a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Yeah, hey, Nancy, I have a question.
Yeah.
I wonder if Terry's gonna have a problem with this transfer because it's last year's money. I don't know if that can go into this year's budget.
Oh, interesting.
Well, you know,
You can work her magic.
yeah, I think she might be able to, I know that like in the first, like sometimes in the first 2 weeks of the new fiscal year, they can make some, if it's,
Okay.
if it's dated, you know, because this is dated March 21st.
Okay, because I know she screams at me for contractors who, you know, give me their invoices way past the date, so.
Yeah. Well, probably because she has to, but I hope she can deal with it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but that's a good point. She'll have to check into it. So did we vote? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. So the next one. Yeah, I don't have that one. All right, I'm gonna have to find it. So I make a motion that we approve Connecticut Communications invoice number 17829 TP dated 4/29/2020 for Rockwell School in the amount of, I can't see the total, $666. 66 cents, no, and
Ooh,
0
that's not
cents.
good. No
There's a hex
bueno.
on you. Ooh.
No bueno.
I figure it's Rockwell, yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, so we have a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And hopefully the last one. This is for Johnson, I believe.
Yep.
Yep. In Connecticut Communications invoice number 17877 TP for Johnson School in the amount of $120. I need a second. Dave seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Alrighty.
Done.
So like I said, I'd like to do the other parts next time because it's late.
Yeah.
And I sent you out a whole bunch of stuff to read, and I'm hoping that you will continue to read it so that we can get into all of this in detail and make some movement on mostly the professional services additional requests, and that we might have more info on the site work from the whole field situation and getting rid of the dirt pile. So hopefully we'll do that. So if people can do next Tuesday night, then we'll get that set up. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want
21st?
us on the, do you want us on the meeting? Me,
Um,
us and Perkins, or yes or no, or?
Maybe. I mean, we might have questions for you, and we'll have to sort of figure that out.
Okay.
And, or if we can come up with questions and if people can ask the questions, again, just reminding public site members that we can't have discussions among ourselves online, but if we can ask questions, if there's questions we want answers to have at that meeting, we can forward, you know, you can give them to me, I can forward them on to either STV or to Perkins Eastman.
I think well, I'm happy to be on the meeting. I think Joe probably will also if it helps.
I can. We would actually we prefer if you send questions in advance.
Yeah, so if there are questions, let's, if we can get those questions answered during the meeting, I think we could make some movement or decisions. And so again, if you could go through the original proposals, and we have with the STV proposal, some numbers that Geraldine put together, et cetera, those. If you need them again, you got to let me know and I'll get them to you as quickly as I can. And then with the Perkins Eastman proposal, we have the two original proposals, one for each school with numbers along with those, plus the most recent letter from Joe Costa giving greater detail and also putting some more specific numbers in with their proposal. And I actually do have a question, and I had a flash drive that I was going to stick up on the screen, but I'm just going to ask real quickly, Joe, if you could, Joe Collada, in looking at the numbers that were part of that, what Joe, it was like 3 different attachments that were sent out.
Yep.
There was the whole letter.
Yep.
And so the numbers that were put together, and it was just that one separate page, there was a list of potential change orders, but then there were also the separate page of construction administration services, hours extended above basic services, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And those two amounts kind of came up with what you had proposed to us.
Right.
So my question is, are those two amounts still not to exceed amounts going forward for the continuation of the project?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that hasn't changed.
Okay. So this
and it would be, I believe it was, the original request was to do it hourly moving forward from March.
From March, from the
Right.
month of March or from the end of March? So we start in,
I'd have to get Joe to clarify that one.
yeah, well, actually, if you could, that would be good and I could pass that along. Or
Right.
I could send you an email with question and then you can
Yeah.
check. Okay.
All right. So it's ASR include, he's actually out of the office this week.
Okay.
ASR include March hours. I believe it does.
Because I thought that, I remember him saying something along the lines of starting in March. I don't know if it meant the end of March or starting at the beginning of March.
Right.
That would make it, and so these two amounts would take us through the end of the project.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions that anybody can think of for Joe or for Geraldine right now without going back and reviewing? Okay.
Good.
So that's it on our school projects. I don't have much of an update on police station as the Board of Selectmen is doing some investigating and checking before we make any more movement or decisions on the firing range. I have emails into Chris Baldwin about the CO, and hopefully I'll hear more before the next meeting. I think that's it. Anybody have any questions or anything else?
No.
Somebody,
Make a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.